page. They keep refreshing just to see if we're going live, but we actually on right now. Coop, happy Friday, brother. How you doing?
Happy Friday, brother. I want to apologize to everybody. The delay today was me. I had some personal affairs that I needed to attend to that took a little longer than expected. So, my bad, people. Let's rock and roll.
It's all
Happy
good,
Friday,
man.
everybody.
Let's rock and roll. Happy Friday, man. I might be getting a little feedback because I might have it up a little bit too loud on my end. But yeah,
Okay.
you sound good. Hear you good. We're welcoming everybody into the room. We're going to talk about this Cordae album. We're going to talk about a few things, man. It's a lot going on. Cordae just dropped an album, obviously, because that's kind of everywhere. Kanye West is dropping music tonight featuring The Game, which I'm very excited about because The Game is an artist that never features on anything. I was excited on the fact that he was on Russ's project. 'Cause no one ever calls Game for a feature, and he seems to always show up. Also, we're going to talk about Mad Skills and what he had to say about, the late, great ghostwriters. We're going to talk about ghostwriters real quick, too, man. We got a lot to get into, man. Welcome, everybody, into the show. Oh, the first comment I read, Nas' verse was trash. This is from Nas the GOAT. Listen, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about this Cordae album. First things first, before I ask you your opinion on certain things on the album's called Bird's Eye View. I dig the theme. I think he really was really concise in the intro. Did you see the statement he put out like right before the album came out?
No, I didn't.
All right, I'm gonna put it on the screen so people can see it. I'll read it real quick. Cordae put this out on his Instagram last night, last night before the album dropped. He said, "So the album drops tonight. Each individual song has a significant place in my heart, as they were all inspired by real life events, emotions, and experiences. With that being said, I ask y'all to please listen to the songs 1 through 12, intro to Westlake High, from top to bottom, with no pause, skips, or interruptions, as this is the way it was intended to be listened to, especially the first time around, as a complete body of work. Thank you kindly for your ears and support. Love, Cordae."
That's beautiful.
It's very nice, man. It's kind of like, that intro for Volume 3, where Jay's like, "I know you're opening up your CDs right now. If you like
Well, no,
me, you're going through the credits."
right. I mean, Mike, what's beautiful about it is that, that's the type of statement somebody who makes that actually cares about their craft.
Yeah, I got that when I listened to this too, by the way.
I got that when I listened to the project. Go ahead. Right.
I got that when I listened to this. In this streaming era and for his generation, because Cordae is like, is he under 25? Time
Right.
travel
Maybe
so
a little
fast.
older, maybe. Right
Is he a
about.
little older? Okay. Well,
Right.
anyway, even in the digital era, the streaming generation of music, period, not just hip hop, but especially hip hop. People don't listen to full bodies of work like that. I think that's why, when Kanye in 2018 was putting out these projects with 7 songs, Daytona and stuff like that's perfect for the digital era, right? I think that what Nas just did with Magic with 9 songs is perfect for the digital era, because if one song catches you, then you'll end up flowing into the rest. But again, I think it's certain artists who demand that level of attention and notoriety, and I think that Cordae's kind of just developing that. So he wanted to put it out there like, look, don't skip around my stuff. And the fact that he has big time features on there. Don't just skip to the features, listen to the whole thing. Let me get to the features real quick, track list and all that. The features on this album, and this is the track list he put out. I want to say that was probably like earlier this week. So it has Nas on there, but Nas isn't on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that Nas verse dude was talking about didn't actually make the album.
Yeah. We'll talk about that too, because we don't know what happened with that. All right. So the features here, we got Gunna, we got Lil Wayne, we got Her, Lil Durk, Freddie Gibbs, Stevie Wonder. Nas wasn't on the song, and Eminem. These are big time features, and I do think that for artists that's kind of developing momentum, I would say, like Cordae, he does need to tell his audience, or the audience, yo, you might want to, check this whole thing out. And I think that's a great statement. After listening to the album for the first time, yeah, he's 24 years old. After listening to the album the first time, what were your thoughts about Cordae's album, Bird's Eye View?
Okay, so a funny thing about him for me is that got more familiar with him because I'm a big tennis fan, and he is dating the most skilled tennis player since Serena Williams, in my opinion, and Naomi Osaka. So I first got privy to him actually when he popped up at the U.S. Open with her. I'm like, who the rapper dude she with? And that's when I first started like checking for him because he was dating like the best young tennis player in the world. And he's 24 years old. I just checked that, Mike. And so what I want to say is that much like the person he is dating, he is like frighteningly mature for his age, because that's why I thought he was older. The subject matter on this album speaks to somebody coming into his own almost in a reflective matter, as if they're in their late 20s approaching their early 30s. It feels like a late 20s man album. I mean that in a glowing way to how mature this album comes off. Mm-hmm. And how mature he sounds and how polished he sounds as an MC. He's dope, Mike.
He is. I think I need to make a correction. I mean, we're on live streaming, so I might have said something in the wrong order. Nas the GOAT says, Mike, I didn't say Nas's verse was trash. I said Eminem's verse was trash. I thought I said that, but I'll make that correction.
You said Nas's verse was trash, so I'm glad you cleared that up. That's why I made the
comment. Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's just me doing a whole bunch of stuff at one time. My bad. Okay, well, speaking of which, and I don't even want to do that. Go into your order of how you listen to the album.
No. I listen to it. I mean, Mike, I'm a beginning to end project listener. Folks go around anyway. The song has to be completely awful for me to skip it on the first or second listen. So you're going to get 2 full runs out of me. The way that he asked is how I listen regardless anyway. Because I try to review a project from a full context mode of listening to it from beginning to end. I never skip the first 2 times. Never.
So what did you guys in the chat, what did y'all think of the album? Because I got a couple of notes here. I'm going to put the track list up here.
I got shades of J. Cole for better and for worse. That makes sense?
It does, because I have some things to say about that as well. But yeah, go ahead. What does that mean to you?
I mean, here's the better part. He is, okay, so if you're comparing an artist under 25 to J. Cole, that means the kid's nice.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I hear shades of Cole, or I can hear some of the Cole influence, means the kid can rap. Like, he can rap. Not like his generation rap, Mike. Like, rap.
Yeah.
Rap. Because sometimes people from our generation try to kind of like scale it off. It's like, no. He's an MC.
Did you hear him rhyming over those Biggie records on the LA Leakers?
I most certainly did. It's some of the most impressive stuff that you'll find from somebody under 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's there. What song is it, Mike? One song on here, it's like his gift started coming out, like the MC.
It's a few of them, man. I mean, he put out
Super, Mike.
Super, yeah. He put out Super early, so I don't mean that. Yeah, he put that out a couple of weeks back, and like I said, I listened to Super. I think we talked about it on the show. I was like, yo, man, I like it. He's spitting.
Super dope. He's spitting. So like that's one of those moments where it's like, oh no, that's not your typical under 25 or even mid 20, late 20s MC for what he does. So he does a good job of balancing like that core lyricism and fundamentals that come with MCing, but also keeping his music current and fresh. But just like J. Cole, he's very, very skilled. It's not as entertaining as I would like it to be at times. This project really checks all the boxes, like you said, behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's like maybe missing a moment or something that really makes me like connect further. It's almost like checking so many boxes that it almost like bothers me. It's like, I know there's something wrong.
I'm gonna go to the chat real quick because I want to get people's opinion about it before I say something. Let's see. Mad Max says Cordae album was mid. He said the kid sounds like a diet J. Cole. LOL.
Wow.
Daniel Rosenberg says the Wayne verse is amazing. Terminator 2 says I thought Eminem's verse was whack. Daniel Rosenberg said I love the album. Nas the GOAT said the album was great. I give it a 4.25 out of 5. Daryl Baxter said it was solid. Reminds me of Sideline's story. TJ said I gave it a 3.4 out of 5. Good project. Daniel Rosenberg asked Coop, "Do you hear the Nas influence?" I'm gonna let you
I mean,
answer that.
so that's kind of like how the tree works. What branch of the tree does J. Cole fall off of? You feel
K
what I'm
Thompson says, "I still gotta listen. Been listening to JID's new song and Nick Grant. Oh, that's what's up. Nick Grant got some new stuff out there. I'm gonna check that out too.
like AZ and Chains got a new song out. That's what you need to be checking.
Oh
AZ
man,
and
it's just so
Chains
much
got
new music coming, man. And like I said earlier, we got Kanye and the Game dropping something at midnight. Gray 88 says a mix of Isaiah Rashad and Cole. All right,
I like
let's.
I like that assessment. He's not. How about this? Let's go there with it right quick.
Okay.
I think he's slightly more skilled than Isaiah Rashad, slightly, but not nearly as versatile or entertaining just yet.
Yeah. Isaiah Rashad for me makes a lot more entertaining music.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Like that's why I keep going back to that Chad song. It's like that's what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, that's wildly entertaining that you freaking it. You know what I mean? So I don't think Cordae is there with it, but like Isaiah Rashad, he checks all those fundamental boxes. Like Isaiah Rashad has something extra, and I think that something extra is probably what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
In regards to this album, but not in a bad way. Like that extra is what made Isaiah Rashad's album last year an album of the year contender.
Well, I agree with what you're saying as far as like this album to me, it has the makings of a really, really dope project. But like you said, it's missing that one or two smash song that, like you said, separates him from the rest of the pack. And I only say that because of the personnel that's on this. I mean, he released the personnel on here too. And the fact that he's been getting a lot of support from, all around, period. So the production, well, you know what? This is the personnel that he released, right? This said producers, composers, and vocals. He has Kid Culture, Boy Wonder, Hit Boy, Stevie Wonder, Dem Joints, Taraji P. Henson, Raphael Sadiq, Terrence Martin, Eddie Benjamin.
Sadiq?
Yeah, he's on it. Eddie Benjamin, Genius, Jake One, PJ, School's Got the Hits, Hollywood Cole, Bong by the Way. Who else we recognize? Yeah, Mike Phil. It's a lot of personnel, right?
Okay, so when you say that, Mike, I hate that.
And the
I'm gonna tell you
stakes
why.
is high, man. When it's not like you, because I feel like this is one of those albums just based on listening, the strong moments. He could have went and made himself.
Okay, so there we go. That's why I don't like it, because I'm like, well, hold on, Mike. That's a lot of help, and I'm hearing somebody that don't need that much help, and this is why I don't like it for him. He's 24 years old. That's a lot of production and artist money out of your budget gone when you're one of these artists that's capable of trimming some of that fat. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like
And yeah, because some of his strongest moments didn't have features.
No, Mike. I mean, can I be honest with you? I love the beat, the Champagne Glasses, and both him and Gibbs did their thing. But when I hear that beat, don't that sound like that beat is more made for Nas than either one of them two?
I don't know what happened with the Nas thing.
Like that beat sounds like it's made more for Nas than for Cordae and Gibbs. And you can even hear where Gibbs kind of adapts his flow midstream and picks up, and he does something phenomenal with it flow-wise, the way he starts flipping it with the beat. But track-wise, aesthetically, when you don't hear Nas there, I'm like, man, that track sounds like it's more made for Nas than them two, and the record is still dope. But, those are just like slight misgivings that I see. And also, too, you get an anticipation for like hearing Gibbs and Nas on a track. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the fact that the young dude was able to get Gibbs and Nas and Steve, you know what I'm saying?
Stevie Wonder.
Mike, what does Stevie Wonder cost, Mike?
I mean, I don't even think there's a cost associated with that. And that brings me to my point. This brings me to my point. Listening to this album, I couldn't help.
For 100 G's, Mike. Rappers be asking for 100 G's. That's Stevie Wonder.
It's no cost, connected to this. This puts me in the mindset of like, I hate to be like this, right? I listen to this and I like you said, see the personnel. I'm thinking business, right? I'm thinking a business mind now. The industry really has a lot riding on Cordae and the success of Cordae. And I think it kind of reminds me of when they were crowning Kendrick Lamar this and that, and he had all the tools in his arsenal, plus the backing of the industry to do what he ended up doing. And I think that Cordae, for that 25 and under crowd, it seems like the industry has their money on him. And that's what I see from the Stevie Wonder and, Eminem being on there, her and Dirk on there. I mean, like, anybody
No.
that you could think of, anybody that he would want. It sounds like his label was like, look, what's your dream list?
Yep, what's your wish list?
We got you.
I want Gibbs. I want Stevie. Give me
got
Dirk
you.
too. That's the homie. Right.
Yeah.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's no cost associated with people like Stevie Wonder on the track. He has to really be doing somebody a favor. You know what I'm saying?
So let me submit something to you, and this is somebody, I believe, older, but same age bracket, kind of same weight class-ish, that's on the album. The first time I listened to this album, Mike, it's like I told you when you take me, you're like, what do you think? I was like, because I felt like it was missing something. Not like it wasn't good, but like it was missing something, and I was expecting maybe more. But the second time around, I think I know what it was missing.
What's
and
up?
I'm going to be careful about how I say this because it's not bad. Mike, the production on here is good. It's not great. The production on Gunna's album is great, Mike. You feel what I'm saying?
Oh, Gunna's on the album also. I didn't like that song.
Well, Mike, I didn't too much care for that song either because, Mike, I literally thought to myself when Gunna was on the record, almost every beat on Gunna's album is better than that beat. And that's when I started paying attention to the production of this album more and less about him because he's actually saying some things, doing some things. We just did the Kumo D thing. This kid is very good at sticking to themes to be a 24-year-old, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So what I started realizing is like, okay, he's in his bag a little bit actually. Are the producers in their bag? Because it's like I told you, when I heard Gunna's album, it's like, oh, Turbo in his bag, and it's evident. Metro doing what he always do, and it's evident. Wheezy is steady and it's evident. And so what I would actually submit to you after the second listen is that he actually may have did a better job than the producers did on this project. What say you?
I agree with you. I think that the production is cool, but I also feel like it's the production he chose. I mean, he had that line in the one song where he said, get up with Hit Boy and get 10 beats. So it's like, I think that he was given everything that he needed as far as like personnel, budget sounds like too. And he chose what he chose based on where he feels like he's strong at. Because again, that Gunna track, he didn't sound comfortable on there. And that was like the first song that on that album that he didn't sound comfortable on. Actually, he jumped right back into the fold even after that. Even the Eminem song, he sounded very comfortable on that. What did you think about that song in Eminem's verse?
It's all right.
It is all right. And you know what? I think the first half is all right.
It's all right.
And then he jumped into that predictable thing where he just starts rapping fast and stuff. Like, I was listening to it and I was like, okay, there's no bad bars here. It's nothing this, you're like, okay, this is incredible. But it's like, okay, he's flowing with it and it's cool. And then he started that, like, I think he's okay until he does that. But it's like, man. And we're going to talk about LL Cool J later because LL's celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday to LL and Slick Rick. But it reminds me of like what Cannabis used to do, where it's like every feature you have to get in a 24-bar verse. You don't have to do that every single time. Can we get a 16? Are people paying Eminem for 24s or something? Or he just can't do a 16 and get it all in?
You want to stop for a second for me? Because I got a little quick point to make about that because you're making a valid point. Now, we're supposed to be doing this Jay-Z versus battle still.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah, that's still coming up. So I sent you my list, Mike. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you noticed, I sent you that Nas list. You know how some of that stuff says 2 verses on there and how I was able to fit stuff and match stuff up? That's because Nas is a classic 16 bar rap artist. As in, he can give you a stellar classic verse in 16 bars. Let me break this down for people. Depending on how you are with your cadence and your rhyme style, a 16 bar verse really shouldn't take less than 30 seconds, but it really shouldn't take more than a minute, 5 to 15 seconds. Almost all of Nas's 16 bar verses, especially early on in his career, like first 3, 4, 5 albums, Mike, all the verses are 45 seconds to a minute. All of them.
You know, I also want to highlight some other people as well. Speaking of Nas, like AZ's appearance on Life's a Bitch is short, sweet, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Like he didn't have to go for no 24. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know why Eminem's doing this. And again, I know people think that I'm just ragging on M or anything like that, but
no, Mike, you're not, because that's why I brought up Nas, because he gets brought up in that same lyrical weight class. I'm like, nah, man. Verbal intercourse is 45 seconds. Eye for an eye is 45 seconds. Live at the barbecue is like 53 seconds. You get what I'm saying?
M didn't used to do this though. It feels like he's doing this now because he feels like he has something to prove or something. You know what I mean? And
Mike, Jay is like Nas is with the 16 too. Most of Jay's 16, like Mike, go listen to Dead Presidents. Them verses is all about 55 seconds long.
Or even when Jay was on like his strongest feature run, he never would go and do like 24 bar verse.
Mike, 1 minute man. I'm pretty certain 1 minute man was like a 12 bar verse. He didn't even give us 16.
He didn't even finish, He'll come in there like Carolina Blue Kicks, hottest nigga on the block, used to really bicycle since I was 6. Like, he just come in there real quick, kill it, and be out.
That's 2 bars that sound like 4.
High school, crossover, wave to wave picks. Music is the same shit, gave away hits, but my get it together or get it forever. When get it through hard, I can get it through leather. Man, come on, you act like Jigga can't. Get with whoever, talking you got a man. Okay, man. Like, I don't need 24. Right. I don't need you to get into.
Across, Mike.
Yeah.
The only time when 16 ain't enough is when Rick Ross and Andre 3000 said so on God Forgives and I Don't.
But that was the theme of the song. TD says, why do they keep going to M for features? That's a good question. Because it kind of reminds me of, what I'm saying about this Stevie Wonder thing. It might not even be people going to M for features. They might be saying, look, M wants to feature on your shit. What are you going to say? No?
First of all, you can't say no. You can't say no. It's a poor career decision.
No, you can't say no.
No, I want to bring up something that Jadakiss said a long, long time ago. I've had a white fan base before the signing of Marshall. This is about fan base moves, too, when you put M on the record. Because, like I've been telling everybody.
That's what Renegade was about.
Oh, he brings in a spear, Mike. That's why he's produced the track on God's Son that he had no business producing. Because just saying that Eminem produced the track for Nas brings a certain clientele into the fold that may not be in the fold.
Of course.
He brings people who are not into the fold into the fold. Mike, you want to know who I thought about when I heard him?
It's a numbers game, man.
No. I thought about this really because I brought up how Cordae is dating Naomi Osaka. Mm-hmm. I'm a tennis and golf fan too. I thought about like Eminem be bringing white people to hip hop the way Tiger Woods done brought black people to golf.
Well, there's our analogy for the day. It's the truth, though.
On that too.
And the thing, no, you're right. It's like, and a lot of white listeners are hip hop listeners anyway. But I think Eminem, he brings a fan base that doesn't normally listen to rap. Period. And if you're associated with Eminem, they're gonna give it a shot. I mean, we even see like the people that were associated with M on Shady Records. They all did numbers.
I
ain't even gonna talk about 50, but even this is how big M's numbers are and were in their prime, especially. Like 50 went out there and steamrolled the game crazy off the Eminem momentum. And not only that, but Lloyd Banks and Young Buck were going gold in a week. Like these guys were doing numbers, and all of this was reciprocated off of this Eminem steam.
I mean, no, okay, so let's go back to that. When you're saying that, okay, so that's and I get what you're saying, but who's behind that? Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine are behind even Eminem on that. So it's heavy. So it's heavyweight. That's not M. That's Dre and Iovine.
Well, look, it's all of those things combined. It's all of listen, the machine over there in Interscope is, in my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. How about this? What M and 50 was what Iovine and Dre really intended before Suge had really, you know what I'm saying? So this time around, they got to run the machine the way they wanted to run the machine with M and 50, and they ran it.
Oh yeah,
and ran the subsequent artists because hey, Mike, the documentary don't go like 3-4 platinum like without like Dre, 50, M, like the whole cosign down the line.
M is a big piece in all that.
No, he's a piece in all that. He's on the documentary. His verse on the documentary is dope. He killed Game on that verse.
His part,
that guy, the guy that's rapping on the documentary. That's the guy that I want to hear. The guy that's rapping on Patiently Waiting and Don't Push Me on Get Rich or Die Trying. That guy's great, Mike. They got great.
I want to get to some of these comments too because I do have a lot to say about that part of it. I don't want to get too far off of Cordae's project, but I will say this. I think that there should be a class on marketing ran off of the whole Interscope system. Like, they are the best marketers I've ever seen in music, period. Like, the way that even all the way down to when the Straight Outta Compton movie came out and they had those straight out or whatever memes going everywhere and where you would be able to personalize your own stuff. Look at the success of Dre Beats. Like, the marketing over there at Interscope, those guys, when they're all in, they win, period.
Hey, Mike,
they don't miss.
Mike, and I don't know this for a fact, but I were to bet that if you were to pull up the 50 biggest selling hip-hop albums of all time, I would venture to say that somewhere between 25 to 40% of them come out of the Interscope campus in a shape, form, or fashion.
I definitely know if we talking about top 20, at least half of them. Yeah. No.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because think about M's projects, 50 projects, Dre projects, Snoop's projects, Game's projects. Yeah.
Tupac.
I don't even, that's not even.
But it is.
I don't even attach.
But he is. But he is.
But that was Pop though, but I get what you're saying. But he
is. He didn't start moving them units like that until that machine got behind him.
I mean, Against the World went like triple platinum.
But it didn't do what All Eyes on Me did.
Strictly for My Niggas was a multi-platinum album. That's what I'm saying. Pac was a platinum rapper.
Yeah, he was. But But
yeah.
he was always within a scope. When that Dre thing came, that was a needle in the arm.
That's what I mean. When you bring up M, it's like, well, Dre really wanted to move everybody's needle because Pac shit even went from 2-3 mil to like 5-6 mil.
Exactly. Nubian DNA says Dr. Dre made Slim Shady. Listen, I've said this before. I don't think that there is another fit for Eminem. If Eminem's getting signed in 1998, 99-ish, there's nowhere else for him to go but Dr. Dre.
It's not true.
Where?
True.
Where?
He's an MC.
Where? To have the success that he had?
Nine dope MCs, Mike. Think about how many MCs that are not as talented as this guy that have landed themselves with various major labels.
White MCs?
There ain't never been a white MC this nice.
Who would have signed them, Coop? Understand the climate, 1998. Let's take ourselves back to 1998.
White boys don't make unsigned hype in the source. That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that he made unsigned hype in the source, Mike was about to get him signed. White boys don't make unsigned hype in the source in the 90s, except that white boy.
Listen, white artists in hip hop, I mean, let's just be real. They have a better sales trajectory when they're attached to black artists. Now, who were you going to attach Eminem to in 1998? You want to sign him to Rough Riders?
So, Mike, I mean, there's
just tell me somebody. Who you going to sign him to?
I mean, I would probably put him more with the raucous, loud type of fold.
He's not going to sell no records with them. Not to this level.
Mike, he gonna sell records because he white. Just like Beastie Boys was moving 3, 4, 5 million records off license to ill.
Well, he needed to be produced too. So we got to give Dre credit for that.
Beastie Boys needed to be produced by Rick Rubin.
I agree. But going to loud and raucous, you're not going to get a Hi My Name Is. You're not.
Right. But
so you're going to get some High and Mighty type of shit, right?
Hold on. So what I'm trying to tell you is that like Loud was the Loud Sound Raekwon. You feel me? So
We
maybe he
talking
would have
about a
been
whole
more.
different thing.
No. I'm trying to express a point about the style of music being made.
Okay.
They sign guys like Mos Def, Talib, Raekwon, street music, hip hop shit. So maybe that brings him more into a hip hop fold. So maybe we get something closer to a Mathematics or an Incarcerated Scarfaces than a My Name Is initially.
And it ain't gonna be on TRL. It'll be a whole. I see what you're saying, and it's happened. And what you're saying, there's actual litmus test for it because he was on Sound Bombing. He did make Any Man. I love Any Man. We probably would have heard more of that kind of stuff, but that stuff was not gonna move no units, not no Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers units.
I would venture to say that if he would have made records like Any Man, he still probably would have sold 1 million or 2.
He wouldn't be who he is. Like, let's be real. The ceiling would have been very. Dr. Dre was the only place to go.
If he's still getting those same placements, Mike, yeah, because I mean, you keep forgetting like some of this stuff he has smashed. Like, forgot about Dre, he smashed. Did he write The Watcher? Yeah. The Way I Am? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Eminem Show? Yeah. The shit on 50's album? Yeah. The shit on Games album? Yeah. Like
Brian says, Dr. Dre needed Eminem too. That part you don't say out loud.
Mike, did he wax cannabis in the Rap Olympics? Yeah.
I don't know anything about that. I know he lost the Rhyme Fest in the Rap Olympics. I do want to answer what Brian has to say.
I've heard that battle, Mike. He did not lose to Rhyme Fest. He lost because he was white.
Brian Whittle says Dr. Dre needed Eminem too. He's like, that's the part you don't say out loud. Dr. Dre's been on record on how Eminem is what blew up Aftermath. Yeah, listen, I've been on here and on the same microphone and said in the 2001 album, Chronic 2001, Eminem's the MVP on there. And now Dr. Dre has proven that he's Dr. Dre with or without Eminem. But I will say in that time period, some of them songs that you were mentioning, Coop, Eminem was really big on writing. The Watcher, I think, is brilliant. You know, I think Forgot About Dre is a huge one. He needed those records. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, they helped each other. But again, Dr. Dre is Dr. Dre. He was already Dr. Dre with or without Eminem. So Eminem needed Dr. Dre a little bit more. Now, granted, it was a mutual beneficial situation. But if Eminem never even came along, Dr. Dre's still Dr. Dre.
I mean, we're talking about somebody that, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, had sold over 20 million records as a producer before Eminem ever came along.
Before Eminem ever came along, there's a Chronic. There's a Straight Outta Compton. There's a Niggas for Life. There's a Doggy Style. Don't
forget No One Can Do It Better, Mike. No One Can Do It Better by the DOC.
For real.
For real.
And again,
No One Can Do It Better.
In my opinion, man, I think there was a debate online. I think my man Jared did it on one of our private pages. But he was just talking about the fact that most of the West Coast comes from that group NWA and all of that stuff, and everything's kind of spawned from there. I was like, listen, I'll take it a step further. In my personal opinion, I think Dr. Dre is the most powerful person in hip-hop, period. And it's not even close. He's clearly the best producer, period. If we sit here and look at the catalog, it's not even close.
Mike, the guy he's doing business with and been tied to might be the most powerful guy.
But he needs Dre. Now, we want to talk about people needing people.
Hey, Mike.
He needs Dre.
Hey, Mike, I'm going to tell you some real shit. You're talking about a guy that has an engineer as a young man and worked with John Lennon and Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty. He ain't need Dre to move no numbers.
No. I'm not even talking about Jimmy Iovine needing Dre, period. I'm talking about when it comes to this hip-hop shit, though. Because let's just be real.
Yeah. No, if I didn't want to be part of this rap shit, he needed Dre. Well, he needed shit. Well, actually, Mike, Mike, he didn't get close to Dre until he found out who Suge really was. Feel me?
Listen, man, he didn't get Bruce Springsteen to make these things, did he? Shit.
No, but he engineered Born to Run, Mike.
I feel you. That's cool.
That's holy grail type of stuff.
That's great. That's great.
Type of stuff.
That's great.
Petty.
That's great. But what has kept him in the music business?
Mike,
hip hop has. Dr. Dre has.
No, Mike, Interscope's alternative artists around the same time were moving just as many units outside of anybody outside of it.
I'm not saying that Interscope's not a successful business model outside of hip hop. I'm saying Jimmy Iovine, his partnership with Dr. Dre is something that they make documentaries on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's important. It's the most important partnership of his career. It might not be the most important of his origins, but if we want to talk about moving forward, it's the most important. This Beats thing, that shit is going to, that's like the Jordan brand. That's just going to outlive them.
Mike, it's not the most important thing, because what I'm trying to say with my sentiment is that when you're in an alternative music field, like Jimmy Iovine was as a young man, and the first two people you work with are John Lennon and Bruce Springsteen, you are officially stamped for life, and that's what enabled him to even step over in here.
I understand what you're saying. Like I said, that's your origins and all of that, but like Jimmy Iovine has said, he didn't want to be an old man sitting there in the studio engineering and all that. You got to take it to that next level. And him being able to take it to that next level as an executive, hip-hop allowed him that ability to do that, and his partnership with Dr. Dre has done that.
Mike, I want you to think about this. One of the most special moments that I've ever seen in music is on that documentary you're talking about, the Defiant Ones, where they're sitting in the whip, and Jimmy Iovine plays Nothing But a G Thing, and he says to Dre, I never heard nothing like that before. I'm thinking this guy has been around some of the greatest musicians who have ever lived his entire life.
Yeah.
And he ain't never heard Nothing But a G Thing, nothing like it.
Dr. Dre's special, man. I mean, look, again, I've said this episode after episode after episode. When we were covering that Snoop and DMX verses, we were previewing that. I was like, listen, man, those Dre songs come through the speaker different, and they do. And I ain't even just talking about on some hip hop shit. I ain't even just talking about hip hop. That's period.
Jimmy Iovine, who has been around classically trained musicians almost his whole life, is saying that shit hit different. That shit is different.
It's very different. One thing I will give Jimmy Iovine incredible credit on, and he does have a hip hop ear. I don't know how long he's had it, or if he developed it just being under Dre. But he does have a musical ear. But what I'm about to say, as far as like 2001, right? The Chronic 2001, that album was done. And they wanted the next episode to be the first single. Jimmy Iovine heard that album and was like, it's missing the first single. And that's how we got Still DRE. I ain't gonna lie, man. I would have listened to that album and been like, yo, we're good. Let's go. Next episode, first single. Let's get it.
That's not his hip-hop aesthetic, Mike. That's the part of him that was around John Lennon and Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty. He knows what that hit sounds like at a high level on Stadium Flow, and he hadn't heard it yet. That's what I'm saying. That goes back to his origins. That's not even hip-hop. That's not his hip-hop ear. That's his ear for music. Like, that's him saying, no, you made Nothing But a G Thing. It's not there yet.
Well, I will say this about Bruce. Bruce has some really big stadium stuff in that light. I could see that maybe with Bruce. But with Born to Run and, Dancing in the Dark and stuff like that. But what Tom Petty and John Lennon songs would you feel like were just bangers like that to the point where he would develop that type of ear from those experiences? And I'm just asking.
It's the overall musicality and songwriting abilities about those two guys specifically, if you really want to know the truth. So Bruce is the Stadium Flow. Yeah. But if we're talking about all the things that encompass music and musicality and writing and showmanship and songs and response to people, John Lennon and Tom Petty is some of the best shit you're going to find. Doesn't matter what genre you're in. And so he was close to these guys is what I'm saying. And when you spend time around guys like that, that shit rubs off, Mike, like that never enough feeling.
The fact that you hear Forgot About Dre, hear Explosive, hear Next Episode, and still say, you know what, we're missing a song. And the rest of that album, obviously, because that album is banging.
But you've been around some of the biggest music people who ever lived, so you might know what you're talking about.
No, definitely, of course. And I think they're a dream team together, and we've seen the success of their partnership and all of that. But yeah, I mean, obviously Jimmy Iovine is Jimmy Iovine, but if we just talk about hip-hop artists, people who are of the culture and actually make the music, put out music, rap, sign out. You know what I mean? Dr. Dre's the most powerful individual in hip hop, in my
No,
opinion.
when you frame it like that, yeah, Mike. Because even with my verses list, Mike, for Nas, I picked one Dre record because Dre shit hit different.
Yeah, man, Dre. I mean, and he's been doing this since the
It ain't even
'80s.
one of. It ain't even one of the 20. It ain't even one of the 30 best Nas records. But the record, Mike, when it play, when the beat drop, it's like, that shit different.
I mean, when you have cultivated artists like a DLC to Snoop Dogg to Eminem to the Game to Kendrick, it's like, and I know he doesn't, I guess, sit here and make the beat for Kendrick, and they don't work in that capacity. But you can hear these Kendrick albums, Good Kid, Mad City specifically, and you can hear the Dre effect. Even if he's not sitting there on the boards making the beat, you know what I mean?
Hey, Mike, my biggest thing about the thing that didn't go right with Nas and with Rakim is that, I know you can produce an album for a A1 lyricist because the DLC was the A1 lyricist and still arguably the best lyricist that he ever had his hands on. And no one can do it better. It's a beautiful rap classic that nobody talks about.
I think Dre's only downside when it comes to that, or something that I would say is a knock on Dre, he doesn't work well with artists who are already established in their craft and how they work. That's why he does his best work with new artists. He's into molding in that way of producing. He's a producer in the sense where I'm really going to direct you. Now, somebody like a Rakim who was making classics in '87, if Dre's telling him to do things a certain way, he might not do it. I mean, famously, the whole story is Marley Marl was like, "Yo, you really gonna sit here and be laid back and record like this?" And Rakim didn't change a thing. This is Marley Marl. Marley Marl's the biggest producer in hip hop at this time, so that doesn't work for Dre.
Mike, it was Marley Marl and Shan.
Yeah. And they're sitting here like, "Yo, you really gonna sit back and rap laid back like this?" And he did it. And so, yeah, I think that's the reason why we never got any work from Dre and Rakim, because nobody was going to bend. And I think that's why Dre has such successes with younger or new artists or newer artists or artists who are ready to take that level of direction. It's a little tougher when you have veterans. And even in situations like the Busta Rhymes Big Bang Theory, he sat there and took the direction, but for me at least, as a Busta Rhymes fan, that album doesn't sound like a Busta Rhymes album. It sounds like a Dre album. You know what I'm saying? So that's what kind of happens too when you have a veteran MC who works with Dre.
So maybe for veteran MCs, they need to maybe go the route that Raekwon did on the Purple Tape 2 and just get a couple bangers off of Dre. Because them couple bangers...
He don't want to do that. Dre not about to do that. He want to do your whole album if he going to do it.
No, but Mike, when you have proven yourself to be a certain caliber, like Raekwon, no, you can go get a couple joints from Dre. This be cool. Nas can go get a couple joints. Like certain dudes can go get a couple joints. Yeah, you can.
LP called Dr. Dre Nick Saban. That's a good one. I would say more Coach K-ish. You fit in my system, great. But I'm not going to get the people who I know are going to be, go to that next level and just be individuals.
As a Duke fan, you all are talking about old Coach K, not new Coach K.
Well, Coach K had to adjust. But, I'm talking about traditional Coach K.
I mean...
You're not going to win like that now, bro.
I mean, traditional Coach K won 3 rings. New Coach K won 2 rings. That's why he changed. All right.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I don't know how we got on that whole tangent, but let's...
Eminem's verse always take us somewhere. I told you I don't like talking about him because it always goes somewhere. I don't know how it gets here. Mike, what do you rate Cordae's album? What do you think?
You know what? Off top, man, I got to give it a 4 at least. You know what I'm saying? I think it's well crafted. It's well put together. My knocks on it is, like you said, not that definitive banger, that one song. I don't even want to say banger. I don't like saying that. Yeah. I think that just that one standout song that we're going to hear everywhere. And I think that he had all the the tools possible to have a song like that. I think he has the skills and the ability to hold down a song to do that as well. But I do think it's a good album, and I think it's really expressive. I learned a lot about him from it, which I think is great, and I think it's a great album to build on. I just hate that it's missing that one thing. I think him and you know who I think could have gotten that record with him, and I'm surprised he's not on here, is Anderson .Paak. I think him and Anderson .Paak working together again, I think could have given him that record.
That crossed my mind too, Mike, because I think what they both do stylistically would play well together.
I mean, you've heard them together before? They sound great together.
Yeah, they do. So this is what I was expecting. I was expecting a Level Up album. So the stuff, the joint that you're talking about, it's like I was expecting like the extension and the level up of. And what I would tell you is that like if this project is a 4 and we just gave Gunna a 4, you think these projects sound comparable? Because not all 4s are created the same. That's why I'm, you know.
I think Gunna's is a 4 for a different reason.
Okay.
Well, I think this one, the only thing it lacks is, again, it's not bad. It's not, staggering either. It's just very super consistent throughout. And I think the only thing that it's missing isn't something that would make an album, let's just say, bad not to have. It's just, it limits the album from being that next level because it doesn't have those standout individual records, if that makes any sense.
What I hear, and I hear the same thing that you do, this project is a 4 for me too. It's more of a 4 because of the MC and his performance and what he did at the age that he did and the capability that he showed. It's not better than Gunna's album because Gunna's way more comfortable. Those beats are way better. Like that album is wonderfully produced. Gunna's album is wonderfully produced.
But I think he's a better rapper. And I know you kind of leaned on MCing.
I do lean on MCing.
So does that not make it, even it up a little bit?
So that's what I said about him being J. Cole sometimes for better and for worse. What did I tell you when I was talking about Cole? It's like, no, it ain't that he ain't great. It's like I want to hear that January 28th more consistently. I would probably submit the same thing to you about Cordae. When your production is not going to be on fire, you need to be on fire. He's really dope on here, but he's not on fire. And so I can hear missteps in the production. And when I mean missteps, it's not like the beats are bad. I don't know if all of this industry playing works for his skill set as an MC. I think he needs to step outside of his box and go to some different producers, because I think what we're going to find, if he steps into the realm of more hip-hop based producers and not trendy producers, you heard them Biggie freestyles over them Biggie beats, right?
Yeah.
I think that if he goes to more hip-hop based guys, we're going to hear more greatness out of him. So he might be doing himself a little bit of a disservice by playing this industry game the way that he is, but only because he's talented enough to circumvent it. How about that? Most guys aren't.
LP asked, what's our Cash App? The Cash App is according to hip hop. It's cash symbol, according, the number 2 hip hop. Appreciate that. Good looking out. You know what? I feel, this is how I feel about that. I kind of agree and disagree to some point. I think that artists that are in his age bracket trying to, let's just say, cater to an older hip-hop listener is a lose-lose situation for them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because the old cats or older listeners, you're not going to be able to match what they think is dope anyway. And then for the younger listener, they not listen to that shit that you're trying to do. That shit sounds old. You know what I'm saying? But there is a small, you know what I'm saying, a niche group of young people who are like him who would listen to that as well. But the thing is, you're 24 years old, you going out with your friends, and you going to the club with people your age, ain't nobody bumping your shit in the club. You know what I'm saying? How does that feel?
So let's stop for a second. This is what I mean about finding your balance, though, and this is what I mean about the production. It's like, oh, no. Like, if you doing the track with Gunna like that, you put the onus on the producer to make that slap. Because here's what I'm trying to say is that this kind of felt like to me and now that we're talking about it and breaking it down a little bit more, one of the things that's kind of being revealed to me right now is that like, oh, he's still trying to prove a point. And what I'm trying to say is like, dude, you nice. You don't have no point to prove. You don't even got to do any of this. All you got to do is do you. And so what I'm trying to say is that this, how about this, Mike? This is one of those young guys. Oh, he gonna sound way better on an Alchemist beat than you think, than I think, than we think, than he think. You feel me?
Is he Alchemist though? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, he's not Mike. He's not, but neither is Rick Ross. Rick Ross can jump on Scotty Beam because that's what I'm saying. When you
I ain't talking about it like that. I'm talking about just on an age bracket level. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is a thing called chemistry, and I think that's what makes it so amazing what Hit Boy and Nas are doing. They found a way to actually meet in the middle, and they come from different generations. But I feel like Cordae, he needs to link with the producer that is in his bracket and feels the same way he feels about certain things, other than being all over the place. And I don't know if the answer is for a young artist to go out there and hook up with an older producer that's going to make him into the mold of what he wants him to be, other than that artist being able to do what they really want to do, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. I thought of the Neptunes.
Man, we going big, but I mean, he has a big.
Mike, he already going big. Mike, he got Stevie Wonder on his album.
Well, Stevie Wonder played the harmonica for like 4 bars or something. But to ask the time of Chad and Pharrell, that's a lot.
Mike, how many rap albums is Stevie Wonder on?
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, to ask, Pharrell and Chad to block out some time to work on an album for you, that's a whole different.
No, not okay. So, what I really like a lot of the time is when artists start with a producer and get a few checks from them and then spin off. And what I'm saying is that as far as older producers go, who have a sound that is friendly and is still going to get played in the club, I think the Neptunes is a good idea for him to maybe start with. As in, go get 4-5 tracks from those guys, getting the vibe, and then start spinning off of that. They're still big producers, right?
Yeah. The Alchemist is doing a lot, and I will say this about Alchemist. I'm just using
Alchemist because he's a great hip hop producer in the beats, rhymes, and life mode that like classic hip hop heads love. So I wasn't saying Alchemist specifically. I was using him as an archetype.
No, I understand what you're saying. And I guess for me, him and Alchemist, or that style of Alchemist, right? Alchemist music, and I don't know if it's because of who he's been working with recently, his beats is like street shit, man. Like and obviously the street rappers that he rhymes with, I mean he makes beats for can rhyme. But I don't think that Cordae, and for me maybe that's where this album lacks to an extent. He doesn't have the edge of certain MCs.
No, you don't. This is what I'm saying. You don't even need to have the edge to get on that track. Remember Book of Rhymes off Godson? That's Alchemist. That's no pressure track. That's just like,
well, that was Alchemist 20 years ago. But we know what Alchemist is on now.
No, Mike. What I'm saying is that Alchemist knows how to make tracks that an artist can just vibe to.
Alchemist is great. And, I think he's climbing on an all-time list, man.
Like that beat, the Book of Rhymes is dope. This is early shit.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Before we move on to the next topic, what do you think is going to be the next single? You think you're going to do the Her and Dirt?
Got it.
Chronicles?
Yes. Must have.
Yeah. I think that's what that feature is made for anyway. But see, this is my thing too, man. And I think Cordae is dope. This is my thing, man. As a new artist especially, you need your own standout records, and it's not fair to him for his radio song to feature Her and Dirt. He needs a song where it's just him, so people could get to know him to be his single. That's not fair to him, because people are going to be listening. They're going to fit that in these playlists, or not playlists, and just formats of radio stations based on Her and Dirt. And that audience might not be an audience that fucks with him.
when you play this game, you take certain risk. And what I'm saying to you is that this is one of the few young dudes that's talented enough to step outside of this box and still win.
I mean, again, they're invested in him. He's gonna win anyway. I feel like same way with like Anderson Paak. Like
Mike,
Anderson Paak, even though Anderson Paak wasn't like he wasn't connecting with people right away, they kept pushing. They kept pushing. They kept pushing until he actually found something with Bruno Mars, and now Anderson Paak. People know who he is a little bit more outside of people who are just music people. And so I feel like they're gonna do a similar thing with Cordae. Probably going to get Cordae albums every single year until it connects. But still, you want people to organically connect with you as opposed to who you made a song with.
Right. So none of these records, he doesn't have that record on here that organically connects you to him.
Doesn't.
But that's the machine, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, at 24 years old, you might need to step out. Mike, that's what I'm saying. That record don't have to be on an album to get made and to get that started. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Right, he just need to step outside the box a little bit. It don't even got to be on no project or album mode type stuff. Just start stepping outside of your box and going and working with cats. Be like, yo, I grew up listening to your shit. I really love your shit. I want to, because of his notoriety right now, those older producers, they going to say yeah, because that's notoriety, money, and right, all that. So they going to say yes. And so he needs to go say yes.
He just got to, and somebody in the chat said this, and I missed it, but he's got to find the next version of those people that you're talking about. The people that are inspired by yada yada and that have made their own sound that he can connect with.
From his generation?
Yes.
You mean like...
Because you're going to get the best of their... You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get the best of them. You're going to get them in their prime.
Okay, Mike. The people who just did Gunna's album too old for him? Turbo, Wheezy, Metro, Mike Will made it?
You think he sounds comfortable over their stuff?
He from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. Well, we're going to see, man.
I'm from Carolina. It's an MC's town.
Mm-hmm.
We get comfortable.
When you said that, man, and when you said older producers, the first person that sparked in my mind was Ninth Wonder, right? So.
Same area. Ninth went to Central.
Let's go on to this Kanye and Game song that's going to drop at midnight.
Exciting.
Yeah. So the name of
this is how I like to hear Kanye. It's be like, no, Kanye's doing a track for the game. It's like, oh, it's great.
No, it's actually Kanye's song.
Oh, God.
Oh, that changes things for you?
We're right back. We're right back where we were. Hell yeah.
Wait a minute. Why does that change things for you?
What we getting now? That's why.
I don't know, man. You think Game's gonna get on some nonsense? I don't even want to say nonsense. On something super experimental. Here's one of the bars from the song that was leaked. It said, "God saved me from this crash just so I could beat Pete Davidson's ass." That's Kanye's bar.
Very problematic. No, I don't like that. It's very problematic. That's what
The song is called "My Life Was Never Easy."
It's very problematic.
It's
very shady. Mike, it's about to get shady on this record. You know, Game don't mind talking about anybody. And he's talking like that. He's like encouraging Game to be shady on the record. It's about to get shady.
Right. I mean, because let's keep it real. And I've been one of the people on this show to defend Kanye. When people say Kanye has writers, blah, 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 Game might have written this bar. This bar might have been written by the Game.
No, I wanted to hear that this is going to be the kickoff for Game's project.
Game is working with Hit Boy. And TD says he think it's Game featuring Kanye. I think I saw it on Kanye's page or the Game's page. They said it's Kanye featuring the Game. But we'll see. It's dropping at midnight. It might be a little bit of both. Because, Kanye's been spotted in the studio with A$AP Rocky. With the Game, there's a Pusha T picture out there too. Actually, let me put this.
That's all I care about.
Let me put this photo on the screen real quick. We got the Game right here. You know what I'm saying? We got OG from TDE right here. We got Ye here. We got A$AP Rocky here. we got AB here, and we got Pusha T here. Pusha T's all suited up, man. Pusha T's in a fit with a beanie, like he looked like he ready to go to work.
Gonna be a funeral when his album drop.
He's been talking about this album for 2 years, man.
Year and a half.
Looks like they're working, no. Yeah, it's been about a year and a half. But he's been saying stuff like album of the year stuff. We really were expecting it last year. But saying all that to say, if Pusha T feels that confident about this project, if Pusha T's in these photos or in these studio sessions, the game's in these sessions, A$AP Rocky's in these sessions, I don't think we're going to get the Kanye stuff that sounds like the Donda stuff that came out last year.
So we're not going to. So we're going to get better than 1 out of every 3 songs being good, is what you're saying. Okay.
Well, I don't even want to go there, but I'm just saying sonically, like I think sonically we're looking at a Kanye that's more Daytona-ish.
I don't care. Like I don't care sonically what he's doing. He's brilliant. Don't be going 1 for 3 and having everybody believe that the shit slapped like you just did, because it don't.
I love that.
He was 1 for 3.
But I don't want to get on that subject right now.
Play 1 record, then it's 2 whack-ass records, and then it's a good record, and then it's 2 whack-ass records, and then it's another good record, and everybody's like, oh, no, it's album of the year, and it's not.
We're going to have to do a show where we go track for track with Donda.
I don't know why we would do that.
I think we should do that. But anyway, what do you expect from this record? Because I feel like this song, whoever song it is going to be a pace setter.
I'm a little fascinated just to hear where Game's at. That's why I was kind of more excited about it. I kind of want to hear where he's at this stage in his career, because he's somebody that should really be receiving like some legendary and iconic type of flowers at this stage. And he's really not receiving them the way he should. I want to see what the response is.
He sounded good on the Russ record, and I agree with you. Just listening to or just reading that Kanye bar, sounds like Game's probably going to be name dropping as well and going to be dumping on some folks. He might even say something about Kanye's ex-wife. Who knows? You remember he had that bar? That Kim bar that was like Born to Rap or whatever? So who knows?
No one's safe.
Who knows, man? That's one thing we can't expect, for the Game to get on the track and get disrespectful. You know, honestly, I felt like for years, that's why people didn't feature Game. Because you look at Game, he works with everybody, but it's always on his project. People don't really call Game for features. I think it's because they're scared of what he gonna say. You never know what Game's gonna say.
I think some of that is in effect with Pusha T too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even with that, because you hadn't seen many major Pusha T features after they took him off of that Maybach music. After Rick Ross took him off that Maybach music, which I didn't like that move. I mean, I get it. Rick Ross has a relationship with Drake and all that, but this is hip hop, man. Ain't nobody really coming for nobody's neck, for real, for real. Like, Drake should be able to take a bar. I never really understood that part about Drake and his team, where it's like he's supposed to be on top of the game and supposed to be this and that, but nobody can say anything about Drake.
No, okay, so to that
he can't defend himself on the mic. That's my thing.
Hey, Mike, that's why I always loved that Jeezy kept the clips on Trap or Die 2 on Illin.
Yeah.
Because Push was on there talking cash shit. And Jeezy like, okay, because that ain't got nothing to do with me, really.
It doesn't. Unless unless somebody's like super disrespectful. Right. And you know what I mean, whatever. But
tell Hova don't pass the crown so soon unless you got a crown for every writer in the room. That's disrespectful.
No, I feel you, but it's not like, I'll fuck your bitch disrespectful and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, certain things you handle.
I'm talking about Tupac disrespectful.
Yeah, certain things you handle on a song by yourself. But if you just out here being competitive in this hip hop thing, like Pusha T did on the Rick Ross record, like that. How you gonna take somebody off a record? And I don't even want to say Rick Ross did it. It probably was the Machine. It's Def Jam, Universal, whatever. They all came together and said, no, this can't happen, yada, yada. That's not hip-hop, man. Let these guys go at it on the mic. And,
actually, that's part of the problem.
And I honestly feel like Drake is the only rapper who people feel like can't defend himself, and the Machine has to jump in take verses off, have people come out there and do interviews on his behalf or say something's out of bounds. Like, have you ever heard that from an elite MC?
Well, I mean, you have to understand that, I mean, most of the Drake shutdown stuff directly involves Pusha T. So let's talk about Pusha right quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can go check and Google shit. The shit Pusha be talking that him and his people done did is real. And so that might frighten some people who are not used to those things that choose to exist in this business from an executive standpoint. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, this business is full of crooks. I don't think that's the thing. I think that Pusha is a loose cannon. I think I think Pusha's a loose cannon in a sense where he messed up the whole Drake rollout when Scorpion was coming about, and he threw a wrench in their plans, and there was nothing they could do.
So what I'm saying is that everybody be talking like they gangster, but then there's actually some real gangsters walking around. And about them real gangsters walking around, them dudes up top be like, oh shit, like, no.
I don't even think it was on no gangster shit, like, because Pusha didn't even approach Drake
Mike,
on some shit like that.
No, I'm talking about the aura, the rumor, the gossip, like everything that comes with a person. What I'm saying is that you have to understand is that, like, oh, Drake know his people and vice versa. Those dudes that are making the decision in the offices are not. They only know what they know secondhand smoke. And so somebody like Pusha secondhand smoke-wise, oh, that's just not frightening on a hip-hop level.
Again, and what's so funny about this situation, there was nothing.
Doing bids right now, Mike. Like them niggas is really doing bids about the shit that him and Malice was talking, and so that shit hit different when that type of guy is engaging with you. It's like, no, these dudes was really outside.
Not Ransom. Reggie wants to know, Mike, did you guys do the review on Ransom and Rome Street's album, Coupe de Grace? No, we got to do that. We got to talk about that Wednesday.
I've listened to Coupe de Grace. Coupe de Grace is going to make our top 20 slept on projects. It's not going to make our top 20 list. Bar heavy as it's going to get. Production somewhat stutters. And when you get an album like that with two extremely talented lyrical MCs, like sometimes it can be overbearing. Not overbearing in a bad way. It's just really, really dense. And you got to find the balance to make it more enjoyable, but really good project. Slept on. Don't make the slept on list.
I want to finish my thought too, man. Like, the interesting part about this Pusha and Drake thing is the fact that there was really, like, traditionally what we hear in rap records and people saying real disrespectful shit or real street shit. It was none of that. The most disrespectful, when they said that Pusha went too far is when he said that whole tick tick thing, right? Like, that's the most they could get. Never mind the fact that Drake was in blackface. Like, that kind of misses people a lot, where people act like that didn't happen. It is so wild that...
I mean, he did out him about having a whole child that no one knew about, so...
I mean, again, that's his business. I think that was even out there on the rumor mill. I remember that happening, but I think that the way he presented it in the record, I think it was super dope. And I don't think that was too far. It's whatever. Have people heard No Vaseline? Have people heard Hit 'Em Up?
That's disrespectful.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who you think got it the worst on No Vaseline? I think MC Ren.
All of them.
All of them? No, it can't be. I think MC Ren got it the worst.
I thought Easy caught it the worst. See what I'm
So?
saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything with Easy.
When he got to the money shit on the song, that's all Easy.
I mean, but he was just dragging MC Ren, man.
That's because Ren was the other MC. You're supposed to drag the other MC. It's competition. He knew who was doing the writing over there. He's like, I'm about to drag the writer. That's what you're supposed to do. It's rap.
I mean, obviously, Ice Cube as a writer and Ren as a writer, he really separated himself, man. You know what? I was listening to Death Certificate. I know we jumping all over. We're going to get back on topic. And Young Doing Dumb Shit is a brilliant record. It's one of those songs where it's just lost in the shuffle of so many other great songs that we don't even talk about it. Like,
Mike, the first 5 years of his career, he has so much to say. It is just it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
You'll find brilliant stuff everywhere when you go back and listen. Man, this guy brilliant.
Ice Cube's special, man.
Yeah, he's a special dude. Yeah.
Speaking of Drake, they just put out this Mount Rushmore. I think it was Spotify. They did their Rap Caviar Mount Rushmore, and they kind of got the votes for the fourth person, and they're putting like these murals up everywhere. Here's one in Raleigh, North Carolina. I got on the screen. It's got Kendrick, J. Cole, Drake, and Nicki Minaj on the 2010s Mount Rushmore. And obviously they got one in Toronto, a few select cities. They got like some graffiti murals up with those four individuals' faces on Mount Rushmore for the 2010s. What do you think?
They got a mural up home. They got a mural up in Raleigh?
Yeah, it's in Raleigh, North Carolina. I think they did it in everybody's individual cities. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so well who from Cole from Vietnam?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
I don't know. Right, Cole from the Nam.
Okay. Well, yeah. So you agree with all four of those for the 2010s? I say Future should be on there, but again,
I'm an MC guy, so it's like, I mean,
I'm taking J. Cole. I'm gonna just say it like this: I'm taking J. Cole off, and I'm putting Future there. I'm okay with Nicki being there. I'm okay with Drake being there for whatever reason. That can't really be ignored too much. And Kendrick's there for the MCs or whatever.
So is Cole.
I don't think both of them could be there for the MCs.
I'm not replacing.
I think Future, I'm sorry, is more important for the 2010s than Cole. I see what you're saying, who's the better MC or whatever. But if you remove...
No, I'm saying...
No, if you remove J. Cole from...
Drake or Nicki off?
Huh?
Why you not taking Drake or Nicki off? Why Cole gotta go?
I mean... Drake's the biggest star of the 2010s that just can't be denied. And honestly,
I'm sorry, last time Nicki and Drake made some shit that slapped?
I'm talking about the 2010s.
Mike, and I'm still asking the same questions. That's why I'm asking it. Because last time
in 2018, Drake did lose a battle.
No, Mike, all jokes aside, when the last time they dropped some shit that slapped? Because what you're going to find is that you're going to find that to be somewhere between 2010 in 2015, and if we go on a 10-year basis,
that's a good point.
Drake ain't made no shit that slapped from 2015 to 2020.
I will say that J. Cole's work, his consistent work.
Name the project, name the song. That's what I'm saying. Like, nope, not doing that. Not taking Cole off and leaving them on when they ain't made no shit that slapped since prior to 2015.
Okay. So
because he's an MC.
Are you cool with Future being on there?
I'm cool with Future being on there, but we're not taking Cole off when Drake and Nicki ain't made no shit that slapped post 2015.
People are saying take Nicki off.
I don't care who one of them gotta go though, because them the two that ain't made no great music in the last 7 years.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that Nicki's impact on the 2010s is
I care what
strong.
the music sound like.
Okay, so you're talking music, I'm talking impact. Because if we talking music, I would have a whole different set of people up there. But if we talking impact, and you gotta understand, like Spotify's Rap Caviar is just like, I mean, if you look at the playlist that is, it's kind of like the commercial rap. It is what it is. There's no other nice way to put that.
It's very bourgeoisie. Mm-hmm.
It's very, for lack of a better term, luncheon. I don't want to name the company's luncheon, but
Strike a pose. Strike a pose. You got to pose and take the photo.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, just based on that and what Rap Caviar is, I think taking J. Cole off and putting Future there makes sense for them. Now, if this was according to hip hop 2010s. Mount Rushmore, it'd be different. It'd be Pusha T on that bitch.
So if we just doing like a hip hop 2010 to 2020 list, what I'm trying to say is that Cole and Kendrick are probably still on there. The other two slots are in question.
Yeah. Again, man.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you, Mike. That's what I mean. It's like, well, how about this, Mike? Kanye came out with Reject 2 in 2015. Rock Marciano's on that project, Mike. Lean on the cane like what did he say? He said, I lean on the cane like muscular dystrophy.
Again, man, I love Rock, man.
But
It's
but what I say that to say is that when you get to this rap shit, that's what I'm saying. Look at what Conway been doing from 2015 to 2020. I'm not putting no fuck. I'm not putting Drake or Nicki ahead of a guy like that that's been performing like this since 2015. The verse from The Cow is 2016, Mike. The verse on Brutus on Supreme Blientele is 2018. From a King to a God is last year. No,
Let me ask you a straight question: who's the better rapper, Conway or J. Cole?
Conway.
I agree. Who's the better rapper, Conway or Kendrick Lamar?
If we're talking just purely on what I hear, I'm going to tell you Conway to that too.
Why would you say that?
Because Conway does things on a rap level that all the other people who have been number one in his slot make you do and make you feel. That's what I mean. Like that Jesus Christ's record. Niggas keep blocking my goals. I'm going to make it messy. It's like, oh, what?
You know, one thing I will give J. Cole credit on, and I know we've kind of, we've speaked our grievances on, some of J. Cole's shortcomings as an MC overall. But of those four people, he's the one that raps, right? He doesn't do all these voice inflections. He doesn't do all this gimmicky stuff. And I love Kendrick. But I think that's when Kendrick comes up short for me, when he does all of that animated stuff. Because I would be a hypocrite if I would clown Eminem for some of that stuff that he does and not say anything about Kendrick doing that. But when you talk about just putting like the bars to the mic or whatever, J. Cole does that. And I see what you're saying when it comes to Conway. He does that, but does it slightly better.
But here's what's slightly better about it. All things being equal, they're all three comparable MCs. Conway touches a different type of nerve with his elite level lyricism, like on Lemon. Like when he was like, Flea told me, hold on, what did he say? If it's that joint at the end, he's like, fronted my homie, called it a joint. He stopped answering. Flea said, if you don't handle it, it's, you know what I'm saying? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's talking about it could lead to cancer if he doesn't handle the situation on some street shit. In other words, you can't let it slide. You gotta handle it. Like Kendrick and Cole don't talk like that on a fundamental level where it's like he's being lyrical, but then he gets on the street shit. It's like, well, that nigga did me wrong.
That's like what Pusha T does.
Right. I talked to my man about it. My man is like, that shit gonna hurt you and maybe give you cancer if you let the bullshit slide. We got to go get this nigga. It's like niggas talking like that on record that are super lyrical. That's that Prodigy shit that I'm talking about, Mike. And
I was just about to mention Prodigy. I was just going through my Instagram
timeline. The other guy that I've seen do it at that level where it's like, oh, well, you can't fuck with that. That's why we try to tell you. It's like the shit that Nas do and Jay do and Big do. When somebody like Prodigy or Conway is at the top of their game, they're right there with them because the feeling and the vibe, Mike, vibe.
I was going down my Instagram timeline.
Nose bone. You all alone in these streets, cousin. Every man for themselves. In this land, we be gunning. Keep the shook crews running like we supposed to. They come around, but they never come close to. When niggas start talking street shit like that, but it's lyrical, it's hard to touch, Mike. And Conway does that as well as anybody ever.
Yeah, it has a whole different energy, man. I was scrolling down my Instagram timeline and somebody posted like this Prodigy freestyle. I'm sitting there listening to it, or like he was in the booth rhyming, and I was like, man, this shit just hits different. Again, like you don't need all those tricks and schemes and acrobats and all that stuff. And I know I probably sound like an old head with that, but there are people who are able to just put words together. It just hits you different. That's what Daytona is. That's why I love Daytona. That's what Daytona is. Like hard piano, that shit is dope. Rick Ross does it too. Rick Ross does it. He's able to put words together in a way where it works.
So let me tell you what's happened like with Pusha T and Conway. This is what I like to call some of the Cool G rap effect again. See, when Jay came along, he was inspired by Cool G rap too. But he took it somewhere more commercialized than Cool G rap did. Conway and Pusha T have doubled down on the G-rap shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, no, we're not going to commercialize it. We're going to double down on this G-rap talk. You get what I'm saying? When you double down on that type of talk and you're great, it's hard to beat. Mike Conway, hard to beat. You know what I'm saying?
We could talk about Conway days on days and hours on hours. I'm gonna go to this next topic, man. We were gonna speak on this post that Mad Skills put out, man. He was yeah. Let me just get into it. I'm gonna put it on the screen real quick. Oh no, that's the Nas joint. Where the Mad Skills joint at? Did I not put this on the screen? No, nah. This is got to be in the show. But I do want to ask you this though, while we're on this. Did you see this that clip that Nas put out that people were talking about?
No.
You didn't see it?
You know how I be, man.
No, you know what? Are you by your phone? Pull it up real quick. Just go to Nas's Instagram real quick and pull it up.
Really?
Yeah, you got to pull it up. It's the truth. Well, it's technically not the truth in itself, but you know. Hold on one second. Let me
Which one?
It's the most recent post from Nas.
Oh, I got that feel of Lionel Richie dancing on the ceiling.
Yeah. Press play on that real quick. Hopefully we don't get no copyright strikes from your volume, but turn it down so you can actually just see the images or whatnot.
Okay.
Because a lot of people thought it was a new video. It doesn't seem like it's that. It seems like it's more of an ad for the album.
Yeah, just studio session.
Yeah. Let me get this up on the screen, man.
It's in the video.
It's dope though, right?
Right. I mean, he's 4016. That's his block. That's his build, and that's why they showing the Thieves theme video. I mean,
he got the whole Yo MTV Raps graphic. I think that's cool, man.
I mean, these are the blocks that Illmatic are based on. You know what I mean? These are the Illmatic blocks.
It lets you know where he's coming from with this project.
Right.
All right, let me go to Mad Skills.
He tells you on the truth. What do he say? What's his name from the Dark Side of Vernon? Draws from the Dime block. Like he's explaining his corners to you. Queensbridge is only like 6 blocks. Explaining the blocks.
Let me go to Mad Skills post real quick, man. Now, I think this is an interesting post altogether. Mm-hmm. Mad Skills took to his Facebook page to give props to Duke Butte, who ghost wrote the message, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. So Mad Skills says, R.I.P. to Professor Ed Fletcher, a.k.a. Duke Butte, the ghostwriter of arguably the greatest hip-hop song ever made, The Message. Crazy to me that when you hear words like, it's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Most folks have no clue who they're hearing. Those words were written by a guy who wasn't even in the group. Came up with the beat and wrote everything but the last verse on that song. In the video, they are rapping his words. He's not in the video. Probably one of the reasons I go so hard to make sure I'm credited for everything I create, because these mofos will write you right out of history if you let them. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a song that changed hip-hop forever, that they didn't even want to make. Mel was the only one smart enough to come back to the studio and say, I got something for the end of it. R.I.P. Duke, you changed the world, sir. Rest easy. All right, listen, man. It's very, and it's crazy. I was just listening to this song. I think I just posted that on my personal page. It's crazy. The first thing is, it's one thing that a person doesn't get compensated and doesn't get credited. But when you guys were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, why was he not invited? I mean, come on, man.
I mean, Mike, and I'm assuming that this is true. You believe it to be true?
Yeah.
This is some of the most disappointing stuff that I've ever heard.
You know, a lot of things when you start going down that rabbit hole is disappointing. I'm working on a documentary. I'll speak more about it as, things continue to develop. Mm-hmm. But it's so many things that have happened in hip hop that really didn't happen that long ago. That gets rearranged, retold, incorrectly told, and people just get left out of history, man. And I really hate that it takes a man to no longer be here for a lot of these narratives to get corrected. It's unfortunate, and they knew who wrote that song. I mean, people. This didn't happen in 1940 or something.
Happened the year I was born.
I just don't understand that, man. It's one thing again to take the credit from people that you didn't do the work, whatever. That's one thing. But when it's time to correct that and you guys get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?
Well, this is what I'm saying when I say it's one of the most disappointing things that I've ever heard. If you really know who Melly Mel is, and I contextualize it this way. Melly Mel's our first GOAT, Mike. He's the first guy that was recognized to be the best MC.
Well, he wrote his verse.
By the generation that came after him. Most of that feeling and thought comes from what record, Mike?
Oh, it all comes from that. But see, the thing is,
hold on, Mike,
let me go ahead, finish. I have a whole lot to say about this.
So I want you to understand, this is a guy that inspired the likes of Rakim and KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane.
And Public Enemy, the whole approach of Public Enemy.
Mike, he is a direct line to the lineage of our greatness, and so it's super disturbing that the main thing that he's considered great for, he only wrote one of the 4 verses to. That's problematic. It is. It's very problematic.
So the Broken Glass verse, that's Duke as well, right? I mean, based on what's being said here.
Like the first 2 verses are the verses.
Yeah. The hook is everything.
The hook is still, Mike, the hook is still one of the best. Mike, this is still one of the 20 greatest hip hop records of all time. Still probably top 10. Like, and I'm not talking about on a nostalgic tip.
I think it's honestly, I think it's top 5. I hold it even higher than that because there's nothing before it to actually draw inspiration from.
I don't think it's top 5 anymore, but I feel you. If you want to have that sentiment about the record, I'm not going to argue.
Well, I say it in a way kind of like how I feel about Rakim. It really doesn't have a father. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's experimental to that level where all of the hip hop songs before it were party rocking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not only like the first to really take that step in depth, but it actually did it incredibly well. And you can actually go back and listen to the song right now and be like, this shit is super relevant still.
Mike, the crop of MCs that specialized in the MCing that we now know to this day, they will tell you their biggest inspiration as MCs are Grandmaster Caz and Melly Mel.
Shaka Ra Speak says, but Melly Mel wrote the last verse, and that's the verse that people remember most. It is a record. You know what? I'll say this.
It's not the most memorable verse.
I don't think it's the most. I agree with you.
Verse.
And it's funny now because I understand now why people used to blow that last verse up so much. The whole song is dope. And honestly, I think that Broken Glass Everywhere is probably the most memorable part. People pissing on the corner like that. Huh? That's the first verse.
Right.
That opens up the song.
Right. So
no, I think that's the most memorable verse. But I think over time, we were taught to look at that last verse, as incredible as it is, as, you know, for what it is. It told the story. It was first real storytelling rap on a dark level, right? But as far as like memorable and just putting the song together, it's a shame that this man didn't get the credit throughout at least my life that he should have publicly. And when that could have been corrected going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it wasn't corrected. To me, that's the part that's disappointing. You could blame all the other stuff on business or whatever happened or whatever space people was in. But by the time you were able to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame where everybody was adults, grown, not in contracts or whatever, he still wasn't inducted into that. That's terrible.
It's just all sad.
It is, man. And my question is why?
Right.
Why?
Why?
Do people want credit that bad? Is that what it is?
Man, Mike, money and power and fame are such corruptible tools. It's ridiculous. It'll corrupt you your whole life.
I want to know why. I'm sorry. I have to know. Like, I want to know why.
I don't even know.
If all of these things are true, If
You
all of
don't want
these
to
things
know
are
why.
true, why?
No, you don't want to know why, Mike, because you're just going to end up being disappointed more.
I think I've taken myself out of that. Like nothing surprises me
You,
from
you,
this
you
stuff
think,
anymore.
Mike, you think that until you get even more disappointed and it unravels even further, and then you realize your heroes ain't even really your heroes. That's why
You know,
Mike, that's why I've been making a point to hop up on here and be like, no, we're not like these other media dudes. I don't need to be no rapper friend. Give no fuck what no rapper think about me.
no, I mean, no. I don't, like I said, I don't want to say I don't have heroes. I think we all have heroes.
But in rap,
I look more so at the heroic acts than the individual. Because,
right.
the
The
individual is the
message,
individual.
as far as rap superheroes go, the message is Melly Mel's heroic act.
It is.
And he didn't write it except for a verse.
And an
So,
incredible verse at that. And again, I'm not faulting Melly Mel on this
not as good as the
per
first two.
se.
No, it's not as good as the first two because now we're going to get technical. It's not as good as the first two.
I mean, you know how I feel. I posted this like weeks ago on my personal page. That second verse on this song is underrated as hell. It's dope. And you know what? Duke was actually about 30 years old when this record came out. So he was older.
He's past his prime.
No, but I'm saying he was old enough to really take in and contextualize what was going on and put it on paper. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he never got credit for that, that's unfortunate, man. He was a professor down here in Savannah.
Mike, that would mean that everybody else's light gets dimmed a little by putting him in the light. We can't have that.
Sounds like that's more of a credit thing then, or just fame or something. I don't know, man. What's sad, man, is
sounds like ego and pride.
And I feel your disappointment with Melly Mel in a sense where it's like he's the MC, he's a writer, so by association,
he's talked cash shit about him still being the greatest MC of all time. You better not ever say anything like that again.
This is the thing, though, Coop. If I'm an MC, and let's just say I'm Melly Mel,
Mm-hmm.
I say I'm Melly Mel in this situation, and you're Duke, right? And so, if I knew that you did all those things to put that song together, I spit my last verse or whatever. As an MC, as a writer myself, I'm gonna make sure you get credit for the rest of this song that you wrote, not to mention the hook.
So,
and if I want to gas myself up on a battle or whatever, and people know that I'm this, I'm that, that's fine. But for this individual song, I'm gonna make sure people know, nah, man, Coop's nice too, man. He wrote this shit.
So that goes back to the integrity and honor of men now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so he's walked around treating himself like he's honorable and he's royal and still gets to be considered the greatest MC of all time. And has gotten mad when he's not mentioned in the conversation. The fucking nerve.
I don't know what to say, man.
And I ain't even trying to and I don't want to hear that bullshit. I ain't mean it.
Thing is, man, it's 2021. And none of these people have given this man credit publicly like that.
That's how strong the whole
2022, excuse me.
That's how strong the hold is. That's what I'm talking about, how corruptible money, power, and fame is. It will corrupt you your entire life.
Listen, man, I got mad respect for
like these dudes are eligible for Social Security and they still haven't given this man his credit. Think about that.
It's crazy, man. And again, I just want to ask Flash, like, why?
I don't feel the same way. I don't feel the same way. I don't. And I'm not about to sit up here and fake in front of it and give credit out where it don't deserve.
Well, the song is the song.
Hold on, how many times do we get on somebody like Drake, questionable pen? Wayne.
No, that's real.
Pen.
I thought about that in this conversation.
Dr. Dre never freaking wrote any of his rhymes. How often we get on him about? Get what I'm saying?
No, that's real.
Like, this guy has walked around, Mike, and said, I still deserve to be considered the greatest MC of all time, knowing all of this. Like, the nerve, the ego. It's like obnoxiously large for you to say something like that with this type of thing sitting right here.
I want somebody to come out and at least say that this isn't true. Right. But other than that,
I have a feeling this has been under wraps like this so long that if somebody were to say that, that's when the real smoke would start.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the real smoke would start if somebody did that. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if I'm Duke, I'm just gonna tell you how I am. Like I'm a little different now, but who I used to be, oh, if that's my move, I'm about to extort the fuck out of you for the rest of my life and make you my bitch.
Well, unfortunately, man, Duke's no longer here. He passed away last year, and passed away January. What was it? 16th of
20
2021.
G's every week, nigga.
And so the thing is, man, it's like, how many of these stories do we have out here in hip hop that have been suppressed, and how many people are still alive to be able to tell where things really came from and actually talk about their contributions? That's the part that I find disturbing. The fact that this is something that happened in our lifetime, and the truth of it and the history of it has been distorted and twisted so much. This could have been rectified in like 1990, 1988. You know what I'm saying? Like
85, Mike.
85, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but even I'll give them that grace period where they went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That man was alive and well and still teaching in Savannah, and you didn't call him up and be like, look, man, I know we done went through whatever. Come be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mike, are you familiar with the phraseology "fruit from a poisonous tree" in criminal justice?
Yeah.
Between Africa and Bambaataa and Melly Mel right now, I'm so disappointed. Fruit from poisonous trees.
Well, it's a foundation. You can't change those things. But again, I think even in that,
Mike, we got like our forefathers, we got a fucking pedophile on one side, and we got another dude over here whose ego is so big he thinks he's the greatest MC of all time, and he didn't even write it.
Well, see, the thing is, man, I think there's a lot of other moving parts that don't get the credit that they deserve, too. That's what I get from this Duke situation, where how many Dukes is there out there when it comes to hip-hop and its origins? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people who aren't really getting their just due. And we look at this whole thing in its origins like it was just, three major players. But let's look at this whole hip-hop thing, man. As big as this thing became, it's bigger than that. It was a huge collective. And certain people clearly aren't getting the credit that they deserve, who are walking around here able to tell their story. You ever heard of Cornbread out of Philly? Mm-hmm. The graffiti artist? Mm-hmm. He was the first graffiti artist, and he doesn't get the credit for it. He's alive and well. He's 69 years old. Nobody talks to him. Shit is crazy. And so, I forgot the graffiti artist in New York who gets all the credit for, spreading graffiti around in like 71, 72, whatever. He did some iconic things, but he got it from Cornbread in Philly. And that man needs to be acknowledged while he's alive and able to tell his side of his historic story. This man started graffiti, man.
I want you to understand, people's ego and pride is so big in this that they can't take a moment out of all the accolades that they've been getting for decades to just say, hey, I had help. And so for me, like when you dealing with somebody like that, to me, I don't got no feelings for you, and I ain't about to give you none. I'm about to give you the business, and you're not about to get no respect. Like men who deal in matters respectfully deserve respect, and men who do not do not. So what he did was classify himself as somebody who lacks integrity, and he has too much pride and ego to circumvent them things, even at his advanced age, to do the right thing. I do not respect that, and I will never, and I'm not about to condone it. He officially is a clown to me.
Well, we'll leave it at that.
I don't care if he wrote the last verse or not. Run tell that. Go get that real man who wrote the first three verses and the best verses on that song, the credit he deserves. You can go sit your old ass down somewhere.
But even at this point, though, Coop, Duke's no longer here. I think they've run the clock out to give him the credit.
That's the part that's eating.
Now I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Now I
don't even want to hear the message. You get what I'm saying about?
Well, I want to hear the message, but
I want to hear, but I'm never gonna feel the same when I listen to it, because I always thought that this was the first great mic performance by our first great MC, and it's a fucking lie.
Bagger Jones says, "Are you guys still doing the Jay-Z Nas verses with Rap Roundtable?" Yeah, I spoke with them a couple days ago. We're just trying to get our times and all that together. We definitely gonna keep y'all updated and make that happen. Listen.
My ESCO list is frightening right now.
Spencer Overtone says Mel talked about it. Okay, I'm gonna look into that. You know what? Again, I think Coop's taking this from another point. My first thought was Flash.
He didn't talk about it the way that he put himself on Front Street and talked about how great he was. He never did that because I heard him so many times growing up talk about how great he was, how important the message was, how he doesn't get the respect he deserves. I've heard that so many times for him. Never heard this story come out of his mouth. I bet you there might be one interview, but I bet you I can show you about 30, 40
no, you're right.
Whole life. This dude talking about how fucking great he is. Give a fuck about one interview, nigga.
All right. Did you see the Hip Hop DX finally rated Magic, Nas's Magic album?
Yeah, we out here applying pressure. That's why.
Yeah, they gave it a 4.3 out of 5. And you know what? I read the article. They said favorable things. They actually left Illmatic out of it all the way until the end.
I know we applying pressure.
Yeah, man. I'll just read a couple of sentences from it, man, because, they got really lengthy with it. But they said the King's Disease series for longtime Nas fans has been nothing short of remarkable. After converging with Hit Boy, Nas managed to shake his long-held title as the worst beat selector, while Duo emerged as one of the better producers / artist combinations in contemporary hip-hop. Now, I didn't like that. That
it was a good
Nas managed to shake his long-held title as worst beat selector, while the duo emerges as one of the better producer / artist combinations in contemporary hip-hop. That was a slight jab because honestly, no one has ever crowned Nas the worst beat selector in hip-hop. No one has done that, except for Vlad. You might have a Rosenberg or something out there who has said something along those lines, but come on, man.
People who don't know what they're talking about. Got it. Next.
Even in a favorable rating, you get this nonsense. Let me go back to it, man.
No, I'm just you know what I'm saying? Like how about this? I guess this is about as favorable as it's going to be.
This is about as favorable. And again, like I told you earlier on the phone, man, we can't get comfortable because they're going to try a little slight stuff. Even with the 4.3 out of 5, they're still going to throw little jabs here and there. That's what they do.
Mike, I'm pulling up on Pitchfork's Twitter tonight. I'm about to bury them.
I mean, you late. The fans are burying them, man.
No. It's called finishing moves, Mike. They thought they about to sit up there, Mike. They think that they about to jump up in here on our podcast and troll us. Oh, no. I hope you're in here tonight. I hope you're ready. Get your social media person.
Mike 100 says, Rap Roundtable is some Big J fans. Y'all better be ready. We will be ready. We armed and ready. All right, let me get back to this.
We got them.
After the arrival of KD2 last August, Nas and Hit Boy surprised fans with a follow-up album just in time for Christmas Day, Magic. The tightly sequenced 9-song release has meant to tide fans over until King's Disease 3, but easily fares as one of the more potent in the 48-year-old MC's catalog. Here's Illmatic mentioned. Taking a page from his iconic debut, Illmatic, the LP is light on both filler and guests, and the sole features are A$AP Rocky, DJ Premier, Wave Gods, allowing Nas to maintain the spotlight.
He never has a lot of features.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
Mike, he hasn't released one feature-heavy album to this day. You got 15 projects. Not one of them probably
That's interesting. That is interesting. Cause,
not one heavy feature album. That's why he's Mike. That's why it's that GOAT shit that I'm talking about. It's like, you might the heaviest he's going to go is probably 4 to 5 guest appearances. And if you're getting that, you're probably getting a 15-track album. So you're probably still getting him solo for about 10, 11 tracks.
Shamario Patterson says, what needs to happen is they need to pick Nas' worst beats and his beats and total it up. That's interesting because all that's subjective. But what we need to also highlight is Nas' great beats And how does that match up with other artists that we claim pick great beats?
Mike, all you do is go grab DJ Premier tracks because of the tracks Nas chose. Next.
I mean, even
Mike,
I think him and Salam Remy. I think that's more of a knock to Salam Remy, man. I think that's the part that's messed up. They try when they say those things. What albums are we talking about? And like Shamario said, what songs are you talking about specifically? Because you can't just sit there and say somebody's a bad beat picker and not mention any songs. That's like what they used to do with Louis Farrakhan, right? They'll just say, "Oh, he's anti-Semitic." Okay, show me all the examples. Like they labeled Nas this bad beat picker, but nobody's mentioning the beats. Where the beats?
No. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh no. There's an example of Farrakhan being anti-Semitic. It's just that they take it and run with it. Just there's examples of Nas picking bad beats and they take it and
that's what I mean.
So that's what we're talking about. Is there a little bit of proof there? Very little, but the way that you've blown it up and make it seem realer than it is. Right.
Let me get to a little bit of this, man, just to see if there's some more shots there, really.
No, Mike, I read the article. It was a pretty solid review for the most part. It's just, I mean, do your job unbiasedly and fairly. You don't got to throw, like, it's almost like, this is what I'm saying. It's just almost like they can't help themselves to throw shade. Even when they're giving a favorable review, it's like you have to highlight how it's like, we used to have to throw a little shade. Mike, you know how big of a Scarface fan that I am. He's not even revered the way that Nas is, but the media never talks about him this way when they're rating his albums. He's always talked in very respectful and endearing terms, and I know they don't listen to face shit like that.
And at the end of the day, Nas has earned that, right? Nas has earned the right to be respected on a high level. And another thing that I get from some of these articles that I read, it's like they try to age Nas. They consistently talk about him being 48. They consistently call him an elder statesman. And Nas has made a very conscious effort in his career to not do that to himself, respectfully. And that's why we're not going to get the DJ Premier produced album or whatever. I was talking to a promoter one time. This was a couple years ago. And he said that, and we were talking about Nas, and, he promotes some of the bigger concerts, hip-hop concerts, old school, new school, whatever. He said Nas and Kid Capri make a conscious effort to not do things that would get them on those old school rosters or old school lineups.
I remember when you told me that.
And that's that's his career choice. And and they know these things. These people who write these articles, they know these things, and they continuously, the run that Nas is on and the role that he's on, it's like they continue to throw his age out there. They continue to say,
When you told me that, I thought nothing else I had heard about his career put things in proper perspective in terms of how he moved. He's never going back because he never wants to go back in there and have to perform just those songs for the rest of his life, like his idols. Because for whatever we think of them, we were just there and we were reciting the words word for word, Mike. Like, it was almost like, Mike, when you wasn't reciting the words to a song, I was. We just seen KRS, Kane, and Rakim. And when you told me that, and I was like, oh, he doesn't want to be where the people he was inspired by are, because he had aspirations to be better and to take it a step further. He doesn't want to go there. And that's not to knock what they've done, because hip hop was in a place that understand that the only reason that the old person tour exists is because those guys existed when they were young.
And it's a great thing to have, because you have older fans who ain't rocking with the new shit. They want to hear that stuff. So it's definitely a place. It's a place for all of it, but it's also a place for that artist that says, I want to keep going.
Right. That's why you hear YKTV and Spicy, because it's like that. And that's what, when I heard Spicy, because when you told me that was around the time Spicy came out, it's like, and now his choices make all the more sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Jay does it too. And you know what I'm saying?
Mike, he don't want to go perform Illmatic for the rest of his life.
That's why we always pair him and Jay up together, because Jay does it too. Jay doesn't want to be on. You remember when VH1 was doing the VH1 honors? Like when you do a VH1 honors or allow yourself to be honored, Same thing with Nas, because he didn't do it either. You're kind of
Right.
conceding to the fact that it's over. And Nas never wanted to do that. And I mean, I respect that. I mean, and if somebody wants to say, like Andre 3000 or whatever, and say, it's over, give me all my flowers, that's cool too. It's like crapping out at the table. It's like, look, done, boom, I'm walking away. Nas just not doing that. And
He just keep going to different tables in different casinos.
he has the right to do that. But again, I see in these articles that they're trying to age him. I can't wait till Jay-Z drops his album. I want to
You wanna
see
know
if
what it's like?
these
You
same
wanna-
techniques are used writing his articles.
You been to Vegas, Mike?
Yeah, I love Vegas.
I was in Vegas this past summer. So there's the old strip, and then there's the new strip. When you go down to the old strip, it feels old to you. It's almost like they don't pay attention to it or focus on it like they do the new part of the strip.
Of course.
And that's why Nas doesn't want to go there, because it's like you get revered, but you don't get treated the same. You're not up on the main strip in lights anymore. You know?
Let's just keep it a buck. The money's different too.
I mean, I don't even think for him and Jay, money's not a concern. I think it's more about how they want to be revered.
Well, that
As in
too, obviously, but you know,
They don't want the reverence to be nostalgic. They
I
want the
understand
reverence-
what you're saying, but what I'm saying is like the more money you have, even if it's not about the money, now it's about your time. I'm not gonna go out here and do something that's not worth my time, numerically. You know what I mean?
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I can have $1 billion, but now if somebody needs me to do this and this, it either has to be very important to me or it has to really be worth my time. And you're going to have
Right.
to compensate for that. Not that I need the
Right.
money, but it's pulling me
Right.
away from some things that I do.
Right. Nas ain't gonna take 50 grand for a show.
No.
Right.
So, I mean,
Because I can go make 50 grand so many other ways. than
Exactly.
Going out and rapping Illmatic. Right.
exactly. So, I mean, it does come down to that too. Not that, like I said, not that he's out here trying to hunt for the money or whatever, but
Oh,
yeah.
The avenues that his forefathers opened up enabled him to do that. He's taken advantage of the road that's been paved for him instead of going directly down the same road. He's like, no, y'all paved this road. I'm going down a new road. Because that's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, I think there's different ways to take the game to the next level. And, you know, in hip hop, we've seen that we feel like once a person reaches a certain age that they can't continue to further things. But what Nas is showing that he can have his business right, and now I could just focus on the music and do it freely in a way where I wasn't able to do at a certain point in my career. Because like I told you, when we start talking about Magic and just this output, he put out a lot of records in the 90s that just never got released. And so this is like his regular work ethic. It just looks different now because he's able to put these
You're
things
actually
out.
hearing it. Yeah, the stuff that he's doing, you're hearing it when he does it now for the first time. This is literally the first time in his career that he's recording material and putting it out after he's done recording it.
Jay was always the person, and I know we keep looping them together, but again, Jay was always the person, especially in his prime, that was looked at as he's able to crank these records out in a week. And it was incredible, like, to do the Blueprint in a week and a half, or whatever it was. But Jay's never released 2 albums in 1 year. Like what Nas just did.
Ever. And he was considered to be the workhorse, right?
Exactly.
Things are not always what they seem.
4 albums in 10 years, nigga. I can divide.
Right. But what if there's 10 albums worth of material?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And see, Jay knew that, but he didn't think that it was ever going to be a time period where that stuff would actually see the light of day.
Or where Nas would actually double down on his work ethic. And when I mean double down, not just do the work, but then release the work. That's the double down. It's like, I'm doing it and I'm releasing it. How about that?
That's the amazing part about what's going on, too. It's not like he's even leaning on those records that never saw the light of day.
Leaning on fresh shit.
Fresh stuff. Like
every 6 months. Yeah.
And then we got KD3 on the way. I mean,
what's that Capadonna bar? I came to the fork in the road and went straight.
You sitting here quoting Kappa. I love it. Kappa's my nigga, man. I love that song, man. That slang editorial is ill, man.
I love that bar. I love that record, and it's one of the. I came to the fork in the road and went straight.
That shit is great.
Still.
Hey man, you move forward. That's what you do, man.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and I mean, yeah. I mean, I think what he's doing is again Tom Brady-esque, where he's setting the bar so far that I don't think that the person that's supposed to be compared to him the most, which is Jay-Z, I don't think Jay's gonna be able to catch it. I just don't.
He's never made 3 projects. Neither one of them have ever made 3 projects this good in short a period of time. That's for either one of them. Not in 18 months. You can't go through 3 J projects in 18 months.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, what is? And I want to ask the people in the room. What is Jay-Z's best 3 in a row album stretch? I don't know.
The first 3, Mike.
Is it?
Probably.
It might be. Because the first one that would come to mind is The Dynasty, Blueprint 2. No,
you can go Blueprint 2, and Black Album, but Blueprint 2 messes Black Album up. But here's the thing. Reasonable Doubt, classic. Volume 1, he's classic. Volume 2, his ascension.
Yeah, it might be those first 3.
No, he put the game on smash, Mike. He put the game on smash with his first 3 albums. There's actually a little bit of a slide after that. If you talk about until the Blueprint, like how about this, Mike? The Blueprint and the Black Album spike up. The rest of that stuff is just good. The Blueprint and the Black Album is where he spiked again.
The Blueprint 2 should have been 1 disc.
Yes.
And on top of it being 1 disc, Jay should have made the executive decision. I know y'all get tired of me ranting and raving about how great this person is as a director. He should have made the executive decision at the time and say, you know what, Kanye, I see what you did with the Blueprint. I'm going to let you handle the Blueprint too. But again, ego.
Well, he's Jay, and at the time, like I told you, Mike, how about this? That Blueprint time, I told you, Mike, nobody had been king like that unquestioned since Rakim.
But again, like we were just talking about with Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel, and this Duke situation. Y'all know who put together the Blueprint. Right. Don't fuck around. You know. Now, everybody else can think whatever they think. But y'all know who put together.
We know now.
No, they knew then. They knew.
We didn't know then because we didn't know who Ye really was, and that's what I'm saying.
They knew. That's what I'm saying. They knew.
They
knew. Yeah, and they could have kept the smoke and mirrors on people and be like, yo, man, I need you over this second Blueprint. But he didn't do that. Tried to spread it around. Thought that they could copy the Blueprint. The real Blueprint is Kanye West. In that situation, let's just be real. Jay's brilliant on the mic, but we hold the Blueprint high because of what it did sonically.
Production.
Exactly. And Kanye West is the Blueprint.
I tell people this all the time. If we talking mic performance, the Blueprint is his 4th best mic performance, Mike.
I think he performed better on the Blueprint 2 lyrically than he did on the Blueprint 1. But the Blueprint just has better songs.
Production, Mike. Like I said, Mike, the guy that's rapping in 96 and 97, that guy's not on the Blueprint, but that production is.
This seemed like the train of thought here. The Blueprint was such a cult classic and instant classic. Let's keep it real at the moment. He was going to take that brand and say, okay, we'll make a part 2. And I'll go back and do what I normally do and just get a bunch of producers. You know what I'm saying?
No, Ether happened, Mike. That's what happened. He got Ether.
How do you think Ether affected the Blueprint 2 as far as his approach?
Mike, look at all his projects up to that point. It is easily the most inconsistent project up to this point. He was wobbling a little bit. Ether left him leaning a little past 6. To quote Jay.
I feel you, and I could feel the hunger in where he was coming from after Ether, and I think that benefited him. I think that the way he was rapping benefited him, but I think the song selection went the other way.
It didn't benefit him. This is what I mean by he got Ether. He was trying too hard on the Blueprint 2 to make it seem like he was a better MC than Nas because of that, instead of doing what he had just done on the Blueprint, which was making great records. He was on Let Me Show How Great I Am every time. Listen to Mike, you and I talk about that verse on the Watcher all the time. It's like he heard that he was gonna get Rakim on there, and he just lost his mind and was like, I gotta beat him.
I didn't like that approach. Yeah,
I gotta beat him. What he got? He got 16 bars. I'm gonna do like 30 bars. I'm gonna do everything that I can.
That was some Eminem shit.
Right. Mike, in all fairness to Jay, that's one of the best verses of his career, but it's the way that it got framed. It's like Nas just faded you. You got the God on a track. It just didn't look right. It looked like you trying so hard. On Holy Baby, he trying so hard.
He's
and
snapping.
keep in mind, what's his steez? Cool, charismatic. He's not cool.
No, he was throwing out a character, but I think in a good way. Because 7 Straight Summers critics might not admit it, but nobody in rap did it quite like I did it. You did it, I did it before. You get it, I had it. Got mad at it, no one no more. That goes for everything. Flipping that raw, flipping horse, flipping vocal cords. Don't get it twisted. Get it right. Did it better. Did it different. Did it nice. Did the impossible. Then did it twice.
Right. And the bars are great. Lyrically, he's as sharp as he's ever been on that record. Yep. But he's off base because that beat don't slap and it sound like he's trying too hard. And one thing, how about this? When your rep is you the coolest motherfucker in the room and we can hear you trying too hard, well, you just lost your number one attribute. You just lost your superpower. That's what I'm saying. Okay. He got 2 superpowers. He's lyrically great and he's the coolest customer in the room. He lost one of those 2 powers on the blueprint too.
Well, he couldn't sit there and act like Ether never happened either. And he can't act exactly like, the people didn't say what they said. So I will give Jay points for just saying, you know what? I'm going to rap my ass off on this album. I think that the shortcomings of the blueprint too.
It didn't go well. He didn't pay attention to the production though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like I said, should have put Kanye over it.
So busy trying to outrhyme Nas that you didn't put together a project the way that you should have.
Yeah.
Almost every song on there, you can hear he's trying to out-rap everybody in the room on some Eminem shit.
I mean, I think as much as I even like the You Don't Know remix,
I don't.
It lets me know. I like it because the energy's crazy. MOP over that track and some of the things it just did to that track, I think it's dope. I don't like it being on the album. What it tells me is you're trying to stretch this out. You have enough songs, but you're trying to stretch this into being a double disc. I didn't like that part of it.
He didn't have enough songs, Mike. There's not one greatest hit caliber song on there to me except for maybe Meet the Parents or Somehow, Some Way.
I'm going to be honest with you. I get it where people come from with Meet the Parents, but I think that
it's the only time he ever really told the story, Mike. And
I know, but I don't think he did it that well. I know I'm gonna get killed in the comments for that. I think it. Listen, I think that he is. How do I say it?
Mike, that is a Biggie.
He did everything. He did everything technically right.
Nas, Biggie, Scarface, Ghostface level.
But it sounded like he was trying. Like, okay,
this is what sounds that way. Yeah. That's Mike. Even this is what I mean about trying to outdo Nas. This is when you choose to tell a storytelling song after Ether. We ain't heard no stories before.
Yeah, I mean, I think Meet the Parents. Listen, when I first heard Meet the Parents, I was impressed. But again, maybe again, it's not Meet the Parents. It's probably what I come to Jay for, and that wasn't.
Right, you don't go to him for that. You go to Nas for that. You go to Big for that.
I go to Ghost for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
go to Ghost. But he stepped.
I can't tell you the last time I listened to Meet the Parents, but for people who love it,
Meet the Parents is one of the pleasant surprises of his career to me. It is.
You think so? Okay.
It is.
You know what? I think that the greatest hits moments on the Blueprint 2 for me is I Show You How to Do This. I think that's a strong record. I remember hearing that on mixtapes.
It's not that strong.
Huh?
Do my Rock Nation Brunch Pros, it's not that strong.
You don't think I Show You How to Do This is that strong? That shit is hard.
Shit not that hard.
Come on, now you tripping, man.
Rock Nation Brunch Pros, Mike.
No, yeah. No. Push the big top to shape like the Kansas chicken snack box. I get it cracking when I'm backing out the garage. The 350 drop for Ross shut down Manhattan. Bucket low like fuck it though. Like, man, come on. You bugging.
I heard Imaginary Player before. It's the same rhetoric, not done as well.
No, man, I love Imaginary Player too. I'm not gonna sit here and be like Cypher Sounds and say because it's not Imaginary Player, I'm not impressed with it. It's a great song.
He's got impressive stuff, but that's what I'm saying. When he gets into that rich nigga rhetoric talk, I mean, there's so many more records I'd rather go to than that one. That don't register for me.
How many more? Cause that's vintage Jay right there. That's you don't know Jay right there. That's I mean, you're gonna probably go to Reasonable Doubt, but in that era, that song stands out. Yeah, Deanna says, "Coop,
Okay.
you bugging." Shan Boogie says, Show You was crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy record. That wah, 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 that shit is hard. Catch up, niggas. Damn, you fading them home. How you gave him that? Automata K with the alligator strap. Sick of you niggas with your now or later raps. Rap about it now. Hope you get it later. Do a couple shows. Hope you niggas are saving up. Woo! Jay's his best when he's in conversational mode. Period. That's conversational Jay. Unbeatable. Okay. But again, Blueprint 2 had its highlights, but I think overall, as a project, it just was poorly directed, and that could have been alleviated with the involvement of Kanye West, a young Kanye West at that. I mean, they had Kanye West rapping over a Timbaland beat on, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? How are you utilizing me, coach? Really?
Wasn't Ye like making late registration though?
Nah, he was making the College Dropout.
Okay, that's the same College Dropout time. I mean, there we go. That's where Ye was.
And Ye was probably double dipping. I'll give you this, but I'm holding on to this. I ain't playing this for this nigga.
When I pulled up his catalog, I'm like, this is the sneakiest mug ever. He gave himself all the smoke and gave everybody else a secondhand smoke and made him feel like it was first.
As he should.
As he should.
You think I'm going to play Jesus Walks for this guy? He's going to take it. He took popping tags.
He did take popping tags. Which I happen to enjoy. You can enjoy popping tags.
Popping tags is cool. All right, but you know what? Before we get up out of here, I know we said we want to go to some comments from previous shows, but real quick, you know what? No, I want to do that now. I want to show love to the people who have given super chats, and I know why our show's going. We really, just be going. So, let's see. Miss Amilla, consistent super chat giver. We appreciate you. We got L Boogie. She was like, thank you. Jason said, thanks for bringing light to Breakfast Club and Hot 97. They ain't show Nas no love. He's talking about Magic. Craig Singleton said, keep
They belong to people. They belong to people. They won't be doing that.
Mike H. You know what I'm saying? Sending more. We got Shista 30 says, that's my guys. Thanks, my guys, probably is what she was saying. DeCarlo says, pour the ashes out on these dudes, Coop. I think that's when you was ranting.
So I told people at the end of the year I'm coming outside this year. That shit is not a game. I'm gonna be outside. Like we're gonna find out who what up, what. Like I know who I am.
Tominette says Rosenberg should talk about how trash Magna Carta is then. Nas is anti-establishment. Jay is establishment. We got Nas the GOAT saying, thanks for having the best podcast. We appreciate you guys, man. I want to go to...
We appreciate all the love. And
yeah, we appreciate all the love, for real.
Yeah, anybody new, subscribe to the page, too. We're almost at 5K. This might be our 5K day.
Yeah. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. Yeah. So, yeah, tell somebody to subscribe that you
Somebody's going to be our
5,000
subscribers. We just want to thank you so much for, staying down with us. And everybody that's already up in here that's, part of the first 5,000, y'all were part of our movement. We're thankful. We're humbled. We're appreciative. We putting our foot on people's neck this year because some of the shit just ain't right. And we just not having it. And we just appreciate all y'all's love and support, true.
I want to go to something, though, real quick, man. There were a lot of comments in that Fabulous and Andre 3000 conversation.
I jumped in there last night about 2 a.m, yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, all right, Stream of Thought says, Mike said he never heard a Whack Biggie verse. Same could be said for Andre.
Neither have I.
Same could be said for Andre. You could put all 50 whatever verses together, and Fab's best verse can't even crack the top 40. Until he drops the solo joint the past couple of years, people said the same crap about Black Thought. Substance is substance. Skill is skill. And Dre is just better. I keep hearing, there was somebody in the Facebook live broadcast that kept bringing up Black Thought, Tretch, and others. But see, the difference is, regardless if these songs are labeled root songs, Black Thought has shown that he can hold down a song himself. You Got Me is Black Thought. It is what it is.
Mike, if we're talking about
Never Do What They Do is Black Thought. Regardless if the fucking song says The Roots, he's showing that he can perform on the mic with 3 verses and a hook and just him and keep you the whole time. Dre has never done that. I don't know what people don't understand about that.
Let me reference something that I've said a long time ago and consistently about Black Thought and his greatness. I never had Black Thought in the top 10 because it was unfair to all the other MCs of his caliber to put him in the top 10 without a solo album that bears his name. But Mike, no MC from any group has more great solo songs than Black Thought. I told you, I only need to hear one project and know that it's good, and he's in my top 10. You want to know why? Because his work with the Roots, a lot of that shit, solo mission shit. Some of their best stuff is Thought on a solo mission. Concerto of the Desperado, The Hypnotic, What They Do, Rock You, Breaking You Off. Mike, You Got Me. Like Mike, he got so many solo records that are great on the Roots catalog. It's ridiculous. I just wanted to see an album that said Black Thought that I could classify dope. He made 2 EPs, slide them in.
LP says Black Thought is a solo artist. Don't nobody rap with him. Exactly. It's like
compared to Malik B or Dice Raw.
I mean, no, I feel you. But like you said, some of the Roots' best songs are Black Thought on a solo mission. That's the thing that we're missing with Dre. We're sitting here pulling him out as an individual as if we have heard The Hypnotic from Dre. We have not.
The Roots' greatest hits, I would venture to say, if it was like a 20-track album, about 8 of the tracks would be Thought by himself, about 5 tracks would have features, and then there would be Roots joints.
All right, let me go to another comment from this debate. The real Leonardo Washington says, even though I prefer Stacks over Fab, these are some good points. I never thought about it. And the crazy thing is, Andre had the chance to show his solo record making ability with The Love Below, but went in a completely different route, but not by not rapping at all. I just think that Stacks, even with his minimal effort, made sure he gave us substance pretty much every time that he got on the mic. Fab has a lot of filler songs and even verses at the time, but he's still a fire MC. It's a tough debate, but if we had to keep one and get rid of the other, I'm keeping Stacks. Fab is just don't hit me the same on a substance level. Again, that's why we disqualify.
Let's go to that because he's saying some things and I understand what he's saying and why my guy Obi has comparable sentiments about 3 Stacks. You know, a rhyme is a rhyme, Coop, and he's like as great as it gets at that rhyme. But here's what I keep submitting to you guys. Like, I mean, I want you to understand this. Listen to what I'm about to say. Nas has done more verses in the last 18 months from the ages of 46 to 48 than Andre 3000 has done his entire career. It's not fair when you're talking about other guys that have done this incredible volume of material to talk about his substance in relationship to, because that's what we're saying. We don't know how great and how extensive his substance is because it's so brief. We know how great Nas's substance is even through all the filler because there is 15 albums worth of material. And Mike, listen to what I'm about to say. Not hundreds, but thousands of verses to go off of. Not 100.
I would venture to say
just 100 verses, Mike. I don't even know if 3 Stacks got 100 verses.
No, he don't.
Nas has made thousands.
Well, see, this is the thing. I think, you know, when you talk about the average amount of verses per album, I would venture to say that an MC like Nas probably gets off maybe 35 to 40 an album. 40, and then you want to sit here, let's just say 35 on the low end, right? 35, and I'm not even counting the double disc. And I'm not even counting the collaborative efforts with like The Firm and, you know, whatever.
No guest appearances.
Yeah, just not even counting any of that. 35 times 15, we talking about 525 verses off top. And that's being generous.
that we've heard, and that's being generous.
Yeah.
We don't even have 100 verses from this guy. I want you to, so when we're talking about that substance exists and is considered to be so quality about the brevity.
Exactly. I think that's the part that.
That's why I keep going to Big, because it's like, oh, well, Big did the same thing, except for he got more verses and solo albums. Same exact thing.
I mean, listen, man.
Classic solo records, classic street records, classic hit records, classic guest appearances, classic. Like Big got all of that in brevity over the 3 stacks. So when y'all talk about the substance of it, it's like, well, don't Big have that? Didn't Big do more and do it better?
Leroy Green. Shout out to Leroy Green, man. He always is commenting, man. He said, yes, Fab is a better rapper because if overall... Huh?
I said, Biggie made one more chance and give me the loot by himself. And Everyday Struggle, and Unbelievable, the Machine Gun Funk, and Kicking the Door, and 10 Crack Commandments, My Downfall, Long Kiss Goodnight, You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills.
We got you.
I Got a Story to Tell, Niggas Bleed, Who Shot You, Dreams.
Let me get to Leroy's comment. Leroy Green says, yes, Fab. Cool. Hold on. He said, yes, Fab is a better rapper because if you're overall consistent for 20 years, as amazing as Andre 3000 is, all those bars Fab has dropped has lapped Andre about 10 times now. Fab is actually a lot better than people give him credit for with the consistent bar structure, rhyme scheme, and even substance. Believe it or not, Fab's lines aren't as ignorant as people would suggest. Andre is great, but Fab is better.
I'm not going to argue with him. Fab got a catalog and has done enough great verses that he deserves a look like that. I mean, Mike.
Rappers rap.
Mike.
That's why I said disqualified because, see, what people keep doing though, Coop, whenever I say disqualified, then they'll say, oh, well, you say that the Gucci Mane's better than Andre. I said he's disqualified from that conversation. Yeah, Gucci got 100 albums. So, I mean, what can I do? You're just disqualified from the conversation.
No, but when they keep trying to qualify him, what I'm going to keep on bringing up is B.I.G., G.I.E., a.k.a. B.I.G. Get it? Biggie. Because if we want to talk about who's greatest with the brevity of the catalog and the substance, that's the guy. Not Andre. And I'm from down here, raised down here. It's Big if we're talking about brevity and substance.
You know, since people want to rely on skills and all that stuff, because Andre got all that. Wow factor. Big. If you sat there and heard Tupac rap and you heard Andre rap, who are you gonna say is the better rapper?
Probably Andre. If I don't,
exactly. But does that mean anything?
It means absolutely nothing.
It means absolutely nothing.
That nigga can't make Dear Mama.
Now, Andre, go make me a Dear Mama.
Go make Dear Mama. That's
go make Shed So Many Tears.
Like
go make Keep Your Head Up.
He can't. Mike. Very few rappers can make those records, if any, outside of him.
So that means, unfortunately, and I hate saying this, obviously Outkast's catalog means a lot, and his contribution to Outkast's catalog means a lot. But if we're just talking about just that ranking you alone, it means nothing.
When we talk about all-time great MCs from the group Outkast, I want to start talking about Big Boy.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about the greatness of groups, we can talk about Outkast. Andre 3000 will be included in all of those conversations, and rightfully so. But at this point in the game, if we are talking about the all-time great MC from this duo, Big Boy.
Now, if we're talking about all-time great MCs from the South, because that pool is a little bit smaller, then yes, maybe we can start bringing up Andre's name in some things. But even then, how do you even match Andre and T.I. up with all the work the T.I.'s put down as an individual?
Virginia still
it's Southern not fair.
Virginia still Southern to you?
Of course it is.
Pusha T.
Yeah.
Face, Tip, Wayne, Big Boy.
I mean, shit, when you look at what Face has done as an individual, and we look at what Wayne has done as an individual.
I never had 3 stacks ahead of Face.
You know, this is the thing. I've, at some point in my life, have thought that Lil Wayne, his run at some point was a little bit overstated, right? And only when we're talking about in the top 5 all-time, whatever. I got to give Wayne his credit. The work that he's put in the game and all that. And I grew up on Dre. I am more of an Andre Outkast fan than I am Wayne. But there's no way in the world I could really formulate an argument to put Andre ahead of Wayne. I can't formulate the argument. It's not there. So the best way for me to do it is just to say he's disqualified from that conversation.
Hey, Mike, it's so funny that you're bringing up Wayne and Prime Wayne. You know what record I was listening to last night when I was working out before I went into comics?
What's up?
Stunting Like My Daddy.
He killed that shit. That's probably my favorite Wayne performance, man.
Mike, listen to what I'm about to say. That's one of the greatest Mike performances on the mic nobody ever talks about. That's how epic he is on that record.
He came in that shit.
It's one of the greatest performances on the mic that nobody ever talks about.
Birdman did his thing on there too.
No, I'm talking about Wayne, and nobody talking about that second verse. We talking about Wayne's first.
The second verse was hard, but yeah, that first verse and that last verse, man.
There's a throne. You looking at the chair, man.
Who produced that song, man? That beat was crazy.
How you want to show me my phone? Blow my phone.
But yeah, man, we wanted to make sure, man, on these episodes that we actually get to some of the chats because you guys got some real interesting comments that come in after the fact, and especially the stuff that we don't get to during the lives. Happy birthday to LL Cool J and Slick Rick. But I want to ask you, man, what's your favorite LL Cool J record before we get about it?
I was about to ask you, and you beat me to the punch. I was like, what's your favorite L record, Mike? That's exactly what I was about to ask.
I don't know what my favorite L record is off top, but you know what? I will say this. I think that one of the more underrated L records is The Breakthrough.
Ooh.
But you know what? I might say my favorite. Oh, man. All right.
I know what mine is.
I love Lounging.
Okay.
I love Round the Way Girl.
Okay.
But I Need a Beat, man. It's something about I Need a Beat.
I was not expecting you to go there.
The way that beat comes through and the remix, the scratching part of it. I like that LL, man. That LL was just vicious with his approach. The instamatical beat subject of discussion. He has a very underrated rap voice. He has one of the best rap voices ever. And he has like 3 different tones.
And underrated vocabulary. Well, that's just his age. We heard him at 15, 25, and 35.
Yeah. Right. I mean, but even when he has the Mama Said Knock You Out approach, like that explosion. And then he can hit you with the I Need a Girl with Extensions in her head. Calm it down a little bit. Like he did that before Buster did that whole rah and then hit you with another lane. So what you saying, yo? You know what I mean? Like he was able to balance out his vocals.
So I'm kind of with you on that aggressive.
Ooh, Jingling Baby. That's one of my favorites too.
So Mike, Jingling Baby is probably second or third to me, Mike, but you actually named the record that I have at number 1, Mike. It's Mama Said Knock You Out.
I knew you were going to say that.
I love Mama Said Knock You Out, Mike. I think it's one of the best rap songs ever. I can still remember being a kid when that video came out. And how about this? Even though I wasn't super big into hip hop, I knew who L was and knew something had happened. He had been off the scene, and seeing him like in that box, like Mike, that was shit. That shit was something else. Like that's one of those childhood hip hop memories that stayed with you. Is LL Cool J on Mama Said Knock You Out? The performance and the video.
The performance was crazy. And the video was crazy.
When I heard you on the radio.
I just don't know what made you forget that I was raw. Yeah, that shit was like a rock song or something. Yeah.
Damage. Damage. Are you ready? You're ready.
Destruction Terror.
Damn, get down.
Yeah. Ooh. Don't you ever pull my lever. You know what? Somebody mentioned Ill Bomb, man. I think Ill Bomb was really important too. Ill Bomb in the late 90s, man. That
was a classic record to me.
That shit changed it up. I like Love You Better. I think Love You Better could definitely fit on the greatest hits. But Ill Bomb was different because Ill Bomb made us think, or at least made me and my crew think, there was a resurgence coming.
Love You Better is great, but it's not a classic to me. Ill Bomb's a classic to
me. Ill Bomb is nuts, man.
Ill Bomb's a classic.
Call my name.
Love You Better is just a really great record. Love You Better is his last great hit record.
Well, today is also Slick Rick's birthday.
Yeah, no, that's my guy. That's the first rap album I ever heard, Mike. That's why it's still sitting up here to this day. That's the first rap album I ever heard from beginning to end. The Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick.
I think it's one of the greatest hip hop albums ever made.
It
It's
is.
in that conversation. It has, three arguable top 50 hip hop songs all
I
time
don't think
on
it's
it.
arguable. I think they're there.
Okay.
Yeah, Children's Story and Mona Lisa are definitely there. If you
Children's
think Hey
Story,
Young
Mona
World-
Lisa, Hey Young World.
Yeah, Hey Young World might be borderline to some people. That's actually the record I prefer the most over the three over the course of time.
What's your favorite Slick Rick song?
It's probably Hey Young World, Mike. Hey Young World, the world is yours. Like Mike, that's
It's a
been like my
beautiful
whole motto my whole life. What's the song that made me fall in love with hip hop? The world is yours. Where did you think he got some of it from? What I tell you, how many pictures of rapper Nas got hanging in his house? One. Slick Rick.
Well, Slick Rick I've always felt like Slick Rick is my favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Like my favorite MCs are like Q-Tip, Ghost, 3000, Nas, and like it's clear
They all swear by
that
him.
they all are Slick
Swear.
Rick guys.
No, they
Snoop.
swear by him,
Snoop
Mike.
is a Slick Rick guy too.
They swear by him.
Yeah.
That's their guy.
They all
Like, for
come
those
from that
guys,
Slick Rick
How
tree.
about this? All those guys born in the mid '70s that we grew up on, that's their guy.
Yeah.
Jay's taken, Nas is taken, Snoop took first. The show, Lottie Dottie is the most sampled hip hop song in the history of rap.
Is it? Okay.
History of rap. Yes, Lottie Dottie is the most sampled song in the history of rap. That's a fact.
I don't want to go against the grain too much, man. I'm going to have to say A Children's Story, even though it's such a huge and notable record, I can't deny how great of a record it is. I
wanna
think
know
it's
what-
one of the best hip hop songs ever made, period.
No, it's top. Yeah, it's up there. Top 20 easy, maybe top 10.
I think
You know what
that's
my favorite part of the
definitely
record
top
is,
10.
Mike? Is like you saw, like he exposed everything. Like it's a street story, but then he exposed some of the street mentality by keeping it funny, like he did. Dave, the dope fiend shooting dope, who don't know the meaning of water nor soap. He said, "I need bullets. Hurry up, run." The dope fiend brought back a spanking shotgun.
And then the
He
way
made
that they
it sound-
did the video, I thought was brilliant, too.
He made it funny. It's
And
like,
it was
no,
like, this ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh. Just another case about the wrong path, straight arrow, so gets cast.
he made a street story about violence and somebody getting murdered, entertaining and funny, and then told you it wasn't funny at the end. It's brilliant.
I think how big that song got takes away from how brilliant that song really is for a lot of people. And that song is, from the beat to
Mike,
the standout lines, like, it's an incredible record.
Mike, didn't we rate it as the number one verse of all time?
Yeah, we did. In this one verse, it's incredible.
Yeah. It's going to be hard pressed to find one better verse because it's a whole song and a story and it's got everything in there. It's got wordplay, it's got wit, it's got creativity, it's got lyricism, it's got a consistent theme, it's got a relatable topic. It's everything. Everything.
Well, we covered some of everything tonight, man. We got to get up out of here. It's getting late. We appreciate everybody and their participation, man. And subscribe to According to Hip Hop on YouTube. We almost hit 5,000. Like I said, appreciate everything from everybody. We're going to get at y'all next week, and we're going to keep y'all updated on that whole mock versus. All right.